Nothing can stop me. Cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what, yeah. Susceptible night, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what. Susceptible night, before the moment flies, yeah.
Shout out, shout out to you gentlemen and ladies that are here tonight on Andre and Andre's Love Crossing Borders. We got a great interview. A lot of you guys don't realize, man, that I have content creators that I'm a fan of their work. They don't necessarily have to be the largest content creators, and they can be the largest ones. But there are content creators that are coming down the turnpike here in South America that are doing some excellent work. And I mean some great work. And one of those content creators we're going to have here tonight. And that's Coach AJ. And I'm telling you that he is taking Instagram by storm as he drops his clips regarding life in Medellin, Colombia. The things that you can do that the average person just not thinking about sometime. And how to be safe in Medellin as well as other parts of Colombia. So when it comes to coming here to South America, it's not just about Cali. It's not just about the beach life in Cartagena, but you can also find some amazing things to do in Medellin. So we're going to have him here in a few moments as you guys coming on in the room. As you guys come in, hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. The weather here is great. Just got done having dinner in a business meeting with a few of you guys, talking about real estate and visas and how to go about doing everything. So we had a great time just sitting there for about a good 3-4 hours, enjoying dinner and talking about business here in Cali, Colombia. Once again, hope you guys have had a great day. And I'm just wondering, why is it so quiet? Because we don't have any music going. What in tarnations, Andre? Get the intro music going. So as the men come in and the ladies, there we go. That's the intro music that we all know and love. Once again, hope everybody had a great weekend. We had a fun time yesterday as we enjoyed on Rumble, the Rumble movie night. We got a chance to, sometimes you forget how fine Halle Berry was when she first came on screen. When Halle Berry first came to cinema, we forget how attractive and gorgeous this woman actually was, and still is. We watched Strictly Business this weekend, and we watched Penitentiary 2. So if you're not doing anything on the weekends, guys, always feel free to join us on Rumble for Rumble movie nights. Let's get started right now with the shout outs as you guys come in. Before our guests make it, before he makes it, Coach AJ in Medellin, Colombia. Don, aka Don the JP. I'm still updating your information, Don, and since tomorrow is my day off, I get a chance to focus on getting all of your information, including your video, over to you, mañana. He said, good evening, Andre and Andrea, and good evening to all of the chat. Shout out to my man, Gary, who I need to call back. Yes, Gary. I was not ignoring you, my friend. I was actually asleep at that moment. Since tomorrow's my day off, I get a chance to call you too. Shout out to you, Gary. And my man, Black Empowerment 01, that is. He say, almost missed it. Glad that you're here, brother. E-Man is here. Salute to you, kind sir. Salute to you as well. Glad to see that you're here. And salute to my fellow passport bros. Yes, sir. And shout out to Chaos being in the building. He said, greetings to Andre and Andrea LCB. Friends and the family. Love. And love each and everyone. Shout out to you, brother. And much love to you too as well. He said, man, I missed the movie night. He said, I'll catch you next week. Holly Berry is fine. Next week, we got Holly Berry again. Because she's going to be in Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. We're going to be watching that on Rumble. And we're going to be watching Pam Grier and Friday Foster. We know Pam Grier came out in 1973 with Foxy Brown. Then 1974, she came out with Coffee. 1975, she came out with Friday Foster. And so we're going to be watching this up and coming Saturday. If you're not doing anything over on Rumble, we'll be dropping the link. Join all 40, 50 of us. There's right about that many. Join all 40, 50 of us. And we'll be watching Holly Berry and Eddie Murphy, along with Martin Lawrence, as well as others, in the movie Boomerang, and watching Pam Grier and Friday Foster. Shout out to my man Growth. He was here yesterday watching the movies with us. Shout out to Kofa in the building. Appreciate you, brother. Make sure you drop the link to your YouTube channel. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, E-Man said, I love Boomerang. Yes, sir. They had an all-star cast, all type of comedians in there. John Witherspoon was in it. Yeah, I've got, you know what? Let me write that down because I'm at the show Claudine. Yeah, I want to show Claudine. So that's a classic right there. Yes, sir. Thank you for reminding me of that. Chaos. Yeah, David Alan Grier was in it. Yes, he was, man. Shout out to David, man. Claudine. All right. And Cologne of the Night is VCL. And VCL is a clone of Bulgari's Tiger. It is a very, very good smelling cologne. Good sex scent. Good date night cologne. It is a grapefruit scent. A grapefruit scent. Very much a grapefruit scent. And once again, it's a cologne. $20 clone by Fragrance World. Actually, $30 clone by Fragrance World of the expensive Bulgari Tiger. And this is VCL. VCL. That's what I'm wearing tonight. Shout out to my man, Ronan Travels. Hope everything is going great with you this morning over on your side of the world. Make sure you drop the link to your channel, as well as my brother Fearless, as well as Black Man's Travel, so we all can subscribe. We got 26 people in the building. Click the like button. We like you. Make sure you like us too, because you know when you do that,
Oprah coming next. Won't I establish this as a place of truth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, we plan on establishing this as a place of truth. Shout out to you guys. Yeah, David Alan Grier was still very underrated, man. I don't see why he didn't pop off the way that he did. Yeah, he was good in Martin when he was a pastor. I don't know what show that David Alan Grier was in where he really wasn't good. He is so outside the box and so underrated as a slapstick comedian. He kind of has that John. For those of you that you know who he reminds me of, remember John Ritter, Three's Company? You know, John Ritter wasn't necessarily a stand-up comedian, but he was kind of like that slapstick animated I Love Lucy type of comedian that just kept you laughing, man, with some of their quirks and their behaviors, like John Ritter used to have on Three's Company. That's who David Allen Greer reminds me of. Just that type of animated type of comedian, that Jim Carrey animated type of comedian, man. But he never really got a chance to pop off the way that he wanted to. Yes, and since he came more popular in Living Color, absolutely correct. In Living Color, absolutely correct. We got 32 people in the building. Make sure you do us a favor, gentlemen. Click that like button. We like you. Make sure that you like us too. He said, yes, sir. Everyone is going. He said, everything is going well here in the Philippines. Just drink your morning cup of brew, cup of coffee, and listening in. Shout out to my man Gene Wright of the Wright family, first of his name in the year of our Lord, 2025. Glad to see that you're here, Gene. What's up to you? What up, Doe? What up, Doe from the Detroit boys?
You better back the fuck up out my face, goddammit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Don't play with me.
Shout out to you from this Detroit boy. Yes, sir. I'm going to be sharing a clip of our guest in a moment. He should be here in about a good 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. But I've been looking forward to this interview. Like I said, I remember in Medellin a few years back, we had Life with David. And Life with David will always had great content. He came down here to Cali. Me, him, and Ace hung out a few years ago. Shout out to Ace Live. Shout out to Life with David. And Life with David was in Medellin doing some great content. And then he had some opportunities in another country. And so he took advantage of those opportunities in Mexico. And so I'm thinking like, okay, so nobody's doing really consistent content in Medellin. So Medellin is up for grabs. That's literally what I was thinking. Shout out to Dale. Dale said, oh, he said, what's up, Dre? I'm watching from Laureles. Love Laureles. Andre will be there in a couple weeks. Andre will be in your area in a couple weeks, hanging out with family. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, man, there's nobody in YouTube or social media doing constant content in Medellin. Then comes Coach AJ. Then comes AJ on Instagram. And he has picked up the mantle when it comes to social media and some good content for relocating and traveling to Medellin. And I have been a fan of his work since day one. So shout out to him. Make sure I got everything up to par. Shout out to you guys that support by way of PayPal, Cash App, and Super Chats. Let me get all this together. There we go. Looking good. Looking good. All right. So, like I mentioned before, picked up the mantle and just took off with it. Over on Instagram, not necessarily just on YouTube, over on Instagram, and just been doing his thing, man. Doing his thing. So I'm going to be dropping the link to his Instagram today as well. So guys can subscribe to his Instagram. And so if you're trying to get as much information as possible about things that are taking place in Medellin, Colombia, he is definitely somebody that you want to keep in contact with or connect with. And so we're going to be interviewing him in regards to safety, lifestyle, because you know me, I always talk about the 3 L's: lifestyle, laws, and love, meaning the ladies. Meaning the ladies. Yes, sir. Let me get all this together. There we go. And right now he's at 22,000 subscribers over on Instagram. So he's doing his thing, promoting the opportunity for new life, new laws, and new love in Colombia. Shout out to all you guys. He said Medellin Buzz is a good channel, but it has transitioned to more real estate, which is not bad because you got to have that diversity. Life with David still streams after he returned from Mexico. So David's still around? I haven't seen Dave pop up on my screen lately. I saw him like one time last year, one video last year. So I'm gonna have to get another interview with Dave too. Thanks for letting me know, T-Mac. He's smart enough to ask the local gangs before he films in their area and usually gives him permission to film in specific areas. Absolutely correct. There are content creators that do that. The Check and Effects, the Ace Lives. They often make arrangements to film in certain areas and not just for people to assume, or they just don't assume that they can pull up a camera and throw it in people's faces. Shout out to my brother Zay in the building. Salute to you as well, kind sir. Salute to you. He say, turn it in for the topic. Yes, this is a great topic because for some of us, we haven't been to Medellin in a while, or some of us who have not been to Medellin at all. At all. And so you're thinking to yourself like, man, for what I've heard about Medellin, should I go? Should I actually go? Well, we're going to talk about that today. T-Mac said he's Medellin. Oh, you talking about Medellin Buzz. He has streamed this year. He mostly visits the local areas and some pueblos. He has streamed several times this year. Okay, I'm gonna have to reach out to Dave. Give Dave a call real quick. I will have to do that. Yes, sir. And let me change the music up, gentlemen. Keeping it smooth. Keeping it smooth. Did you guys hear about the latest death? Chuck Mangione died too the other day. Remember the jazz? And he played the French horn. Everybody remember Chuck Mangione from the 70s. That song played like for 4 or 5, almost 10 years, it seemed like. Do, 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 do. That song, Chuck Mangione, he died just a couple days ago. So when I say my childhood is just dying off, goodness gracious, slow down on the deaths. 80s and 70s, please. Well, we've got our guest here for today. Like I said, there are content creators that I have become truly a fan of their work. Shout out to you, Darth, being in the building. Truly a fan of their work. I sit back and I watch them because they not only talk to the vacationers, but they also talk to the relocators. They transcend cultures, ages. And so when I see a content creator just really doing their thing, I always want to give them their flowers. And this is a man in whom I feel the exact same way. I'm about to bring up Coach AJ.
What's up, Andre? How you doing, sir?
Oh, brother, I am blessed among men.
Yes, sir.
Because I had you on the show tonight, brother.
I appreciate you having me.
Doing great, man. Loving that camera, man. I don't know what you got, but I love the camera.
Awesome. I'm glad it looks good.
Oh yeah, it's looking real good, real crisp and clean. Let me turn the music down just a tad bit. Background music. And we can get ready to get started. Shout out to all you guys that are here. Make sure you click the like button. We like you. We really do. Make sure you like us too. I was just telling the guys about how I've been following you on Instagram, and your Instagram reels have gone to TikTok and YouTube, and it just has taken off for you over the last, I would say, 6 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
How much it has taken off. Let me ask you this, because we're going to be talking about 3 things. I'm going to let you know what categories we're going to be talking about. First category we're going to be talking about is lifestyle.
Okay.
What brought you to Colombia? A lifestyle could be anything from cost of living to foods to fun to frolicking, whatever it is, lifestyle. Second thing we're going to talk about is the laws, how you feel about the peace that you get here compared to wherever you come from, whatever state. And then we're going to talk about the third L, which is the ladies or love. We're going to talk about that as well. But first of all, introduce yourself. Let guys know where you're from. Let them know where you are, and just basic introduction. Let the guys know about you and what you've been doing on social media.
Yeah, so I'm AJ Lew, AJ Lewis. I'm Coach AJ Lew because I coached high school football for 10 years back in Vegas. And I came out to Medellin in 2022 in March. And I've been out here most of the last 3+ years. And for me, when I first got here, I started kind of documenting my journey and creating content on YouTube. And then after I built up a decent, not the crazy, but a decent YouTube channel. And then I had to leave because I had no more time here. So I left. I went to Mexico. I came back. And then when I came back, I wasn't really into creating the content. So I kind of stopped for a long time. And I've just been living here, doing my own thing. And then I was like, you know what? Let me, get back at it. So I started getting back at it on Instagram a little while ago. And, people liked it. So I stayed with it.
What I like about your style is I like how it's just quick clips, but a lot of information in a short window. That's one thing. I like your personality as far as on camera. You're always smiling. You make it seems like even when you're telling a sad story that, hey guys, there's a brighter light, or there's a silver lining in this scenario that I'm about to tell you about. That's one of the things that I like.
Yeah, I try to be a positive person, and I always think that everything happens for a reason, whether it's for me or anyone. That's a life philosophy that I've taken on, and I believe that the Lord above looks out for us in certain ways. And some things that may look like a real big negative, you can't see that it was a positive until months, years, decades later. So that's how I live my life, and I try to represent that in the content that I create.
All right. For those that have not seen Coach AJ's content, I've put together a montage of some of his. Oh, what? This is Andre and Andre's Love Crossing Borders. Of course, I put together a montage of some of your work, man.
Appreciate it.
Right. Oh yeah. Let's go here.
Told this story publicly, but it's been 3 years, so I'm gonna tell it. About a month and a half after I got to Medellin, I was at a language exchange in Laureles. There were a couple cool guys that I met from Florida that were sitting at a table with this girl and a couple Colombian guys, and they wanted to go out after the language exchange and hang out. We were gonna go to 70, La 70, but the girl was like, no, I know this place right up the street. It's more fun and it's more chill. So we walk a few blocks up and we sit at this little corner store. It's literally like a store. They got a couple tables outside, and we sit there and we buy a big bottle of aguardiente. So we're sitting there for a few hours. It's maybe like 12:30, 1 a.m. We're drinking, we're talking, we're hanging out, and I had my back to the street. And all of a sudden,
now, before we go any further, this is just when you came. Basically, I've been here a year or two, right?
This was actually a month and a half, like a month, 5 weeks in. It was less than 2 months that I had been here.
And now we're about to see that 2-month lesson unfold.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, I hear someone say something kind of like loud, like he was yelling. And I look to my right, and there's a guy with a pistol. He's pointing it up in the air. He's cocking it. Me being a little tipsy, I'm thinking this guy's like 150 pounds. The gun's pointing in the air. Maybe I could grab it from him. So
You think you John Wick, huh? You just think you John Wick.
Too much guado.
I know, right?
I turn, and as soon as I turn, there's another guy standing right behind me with a second gun. So I said, So they stole my cell phone. Luckily, they didn't get my wallet because I had khaki shorts on and my wallet was down in the bottom pockets. They steal from people sitting at the table. And then one of the guys literally goes in the store, rips the cash register from the wall, and they go take off running down the street. Crazy enough, some guy from a Facebook group literally brought my replacement phone right to my doorstep about a month and a half later. I had my replacement phone shipped to his house and he brought it to me. Appreciate you wherever you're at. The lesson is, don't be hanging out on streets late at night. There's not a lot of other people around. Second, never sit with your back to the street, as robbers normally start up front because it's the fastest getaway. You don't have any time to hide stuff or react. Most people say Monday nights are boring, but not here in Medellin.
Yes, Carolina, I love you tomorrow.
So tonight we came to the stadium for some rollerblading. It's probably been at least 12 years since I rollerbladed, and probably 20 since I did it, for any length of time. But we came out and we're trying to show Issa how to rollerblade. It's really cool. You got little lessons that you can go to. They'll teach you. They got little gear that they sell, t-shirts, hats, those kind of things. And let me be clear, there were some casualties. A couple people fell down. There were a couple wrist injuries, but overall it was a good time. But I must say, your boy still got it. Now, after the rollerblades, we went over to some bicycles, and everyone fared a little bit better. Not as many casualties with the bicycles, but I do recommend you rent some pads and a helmet just to stay safe, because if you're looking for something to do in Medellin, this is a must. Nacional, there's 2 soccer teams out here. One is Medellin and the other one is Nacional. When Nacional plays, the crowd goes wild. My boy was trying to buy a shirt. Lady told him to take it off so they could scan it. But we went to the soccer game at Estadio, the stadium. Nacional scored early and often. The crowd was going crazy. I got my little bag of water here. They got the fireworks show. But bro, the extreme fan section, like the student section at a college football game, they go hard, bro.
Dude, does it not feel like they're paying these people to cheer? The passion that they put in.
Bro, and they don't stop. They don't stop the whole game.
They got for their teams, they've got several theme songs, albums and CDs out with the national, so everybody knows their team's fight song. And I thought college football was passionate, but it is nothing like football, international football, soccer.
Nothing. And the guys are hanging from these flags. They're literally holding on to the flags, they're wrapping them around their body and hanging over the edge. That thing's falling. So it's they get wild.
And that's another thing I like about your content that you put out there. Like I said, we're going to get to the 3 L's, gentlemen. Tonight's topic is about lifestyle, laws, and love. You guys often hear me talk about it. We're going to hear what Coach AJ has to say about that when it comes to his transition and his life as he's enjoying life in Medellin, Colombia. But he showcases on his Instagram page, and we're going to have that. I want to pull that up in a second. He showcases a lot on his Instagram page, things to do in Medellin that is not normally showcased, like the rollerblading, like the riding a bike, like the going to the soccer or football games. There are things that need to be promoted in Medellin because it is such an amazing city, just like Cali. But at the end of the day, if you do not, hey, beautiful, how's your day going? Why, you gonna cook it? Yeah, I'm going to. Thank you, babe. The missus was asking me Does she want me to cook? Does she want to cook? Want me to cook something? I mean, do I want her to cook something for me? I know, right? But there are so many more things to do in all these countries that these were the things that I was looking for when I first came to Medellin. I was looking for videos that showed me things other than the clubs, other than the party scene, other than the pay for play. So let me ask you this before we go any further. Let me ask you this question. What was it that made you say, let me step outside the box and show the other side of Medellin, or the other types of things you can do in Medellin?
You know, I scroll once in a while on Instagram through Reels, and the videos that are my absolute pet peeve is these guys walking through Parqueyeres and showing the girls looking at them, making eye contact like they're, you know, The Rock or Brad Pitt or whatever. No, bro, those girls are trying to know if you're going to pay them, right? That's it. That's why they're looking at you. They're making eye contact to see if you're trying to take them home and pay them. And so I saw a bunch of that content. I'm like, is this the only stuff that people show about Medellin? And so I said, I'm not going to show any of that. You know, I'm going to show all the other stuff. So that was kind of the thought process behind it.
Man, I'm glad that you did that, man, because like I mentioned before, when I first came down to Medellin in like 2016, 2017, one of the hardest things for me to find was content that showed just regular neighborhoods, just the museums, the golf courses, the fishing areas, the water parks, the places to hike, just regular everyday people going to a grocery store or just going to work, just regular atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It was so hard because everything was Parqueyeres on YouTube in pay for play and party scenes. So to see now that it's fast forward that there are guys out there such as yourself that's putting out content that showcases something other than, and you can still enjoy with your lady friends, gentlemen, such as the rollerblading or the games and other things. I commend you for that, because there are a lot of guys out there and a lot of ladies out there that look for content such as what you're putting out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And honestly, I think that it's easy to go out and show, you know, hot Colombian women and get a bunch of views. You know what I mean? I think giving people value is really the goal.
Looks like it wants to rain out there. I see a little lightning flashes in the background.
It's been raining a little bit lately.
We could use some of that rain down here in Cali. Been kind of dry lately. Let's head back to the video real quick. And like I said, I just put together like a quick 10-minute montage so guys will know.
People are up screaming, yelling, cheering, dancing. It started raining, no important, bro. These guys kept partying. My guys were out there, rain, shine, hail, doesn't matter. This kid did this for 2 hours straight. Let me tell you how dangerous a Colombian gym is. I walk in the gym today. To my right, there's a Zendaya, there's a Halle Berry, there's a Sofia Vergara, a Shakira, a Mila Kunis. I sit down and start doing my exercises. This other gringo from the US walks in with his Colombian girlfriend. I kid you not, they're in the gym for less than 30 seconds. He walks in like this. Colombian girlfriend looks around, looks at his face, and says, "Come on, we're leaving." And they left the freaking gym.
That is not the first time I've heard something like that. Here in Cali, that happened to a couple of guys here in Cali.
Oh man, yeah. You gotta be careful bringing your girl to the gym.
you know who did that too?
Who's
Austin
that?
Holland.
Really?
Austin came to Cali. Dude, Austin came to Cali, met this little chick. She takes him to his gym. Austin said, I'm never going to the gym again in Colombia with a female. He said, never again. He said, I did not know how beautiful these women were in these gyms. He said, I got to come by myself. I'm not going to come to the gym with a female. He said, man, I was so frustrated and mad at myself the whole time I was in the gym with her. I couldn't get any phone numbers or anything. So, yeah, it does. The women in the gym, man, no matter what age, that's the crazy part.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like you said, no matter what age, there might be like a 35, 45-year-old woman just in shape, body tight, you know, everything. And you're just like, damn, like, you know, so
right, for real.
You
This
got
is
to
not-
be focused.
I know, right? Let me focus on my next set. Let me ask you this: where are you originally from?
Born and raised in Las Vegas.
Oh, one of them Vegas guys. Shout out to Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me ask you this: then what brought you to Colombia?
I'll give the short version of a long story. 13-year relationship with my ex, ended that. Working as a marketing director for a pretty big company. We had like 5,000 kiosks around the US. And one day I'm in New Orleans, my first vacation in a year and a half, and I get a call from our CFO, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to be back here tomorrow." This is a Wednesday. He's like, "I need you to be back here tomorrow." I'm like, "Jeff, I'm on PTO, until Monday." And he's like, "Well, we're doing some layoffs. I need to let go of 3 people on your team, and I think it'd be a good idea if you are back here." And so I said, "All right, whatever." So I went back. We laid off 3 people on my team. 2 other ones quit. So I went from a team of 11 to 6. And that weekend I went home and I wrote a letter of resignation. And I said, if I still feel like I want to send this on Monday, I'm going to send it. And I did. And then I was going to go to Mexico. And shout out to my boy Max. He calls me and he's like, "Hey, you're going to go to Mexico?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Everybody goes to Mexico. Why don't you go to Colombia?" I said, "All right." So I booked a one-way ticket to Medellin for about 3 weeks out.
Wow. And this was in 2022?
2022. Yeah, I bought the ticket in February, and I got here in March.
Wow. Let me ask you this: how many times have you been back to the States since then?
I've been back pretty much once a year, with the exception of last year. I went twice. I went to Miami to visit my mom and my brother. They flew out there from Vegas, and my brother was in Boston. And then I go to Vegas once a year to visit my family for the holidays.
Oh, there you go. There you go. All right. So, but basically, you're here just like I am, and anybody else is, as far as expats.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Are you seeing the expansion of expats, or is it starting to slow down?
I think I saw an expansion, and then last year it slowed down a little bit, and I feel like this year it's exploding. So last year there was, I think, a gringo died every week for the first like 40 weeks of the year. And it was like stories. And then I think that at the end of the year, there was like 51 that they reported on. So it was like one a week, almost the whole year. So I don't know if this is true, but one of my friends was telling me there was like a huge reduction, like 30 or 40% in tourists towards the end of last year. But this year, I think it's up like, a big percentage last year. So I think that certain stuff is overcoming the fear, which is good, but it's more about like being educated when you come out here and knowing, what to do and what not to do.
Well, I can say, and you could probably correct me or piggyback off of it. I can say the increase is quite due to social media is now trending towards content what we have.
Exactly.
Everyday expat information about these cities, to whereas the tourism was once upon a time about the parties, the fun, where you can party at. People are starting to say, okay, I've been there, I've partied. Now, how can I live there? And now, how can I live there content is starting to overtake the content of just walking down Cartagena at night with a camera and look at these women in Cartagena. Those videos are starting to be overshadowed now with all the people that are actually living there, buying condos. Same thing with Medellin. People that are realtor videos are starting to take off when it comes to being in Medellin, how to buy and purchase real estate in Medellin. And so let me know are you seeing the same thing that I just described? Because that's what I'm noticing. Because I remember at one point in time, we were like far behind, and now we're kind of like right where those like I call them booty bait videos.
Yeah.
They put the camera, put it on the booty, and now they bait the people in with the thumbnail. I call them booty bait videos. But we're starting kind of like to surpass it, because women are starting to put out videos about how you can live in Medellin or Colombia. the men are, like such as yourself and myself, are starting to put step-by-step information, how to live safely, how to travel safely, how to date safely in Medellin and other parts. So let me hear what you have to say in regards to that.
I would completely agree with you. And it's funny because the other day I was talking to a guy and he said, you know something, you're living the new American dream. And
Oh, yeah.
I said, yeah. And I sat and thought about it for a second. And what he means is like, yeah, you know, with everything going on in the States, I feel like a lot of people are looking to like go and be able to, you know, travel, live other places, but still be able to make the US dollar. And that's kind of the new thing people want to do. So I agree with you. I think years ago it was all the, you know, hey, parqueyeres, the girls, this and that, and there's still that out there. Obviously, that's still a big draw for a lot of guys, and that's not a problem. But like you said, I think that people want to know more than just that because there's so much of that content out there that it's not really, there's nothing really special about it, right? Anybody could go do that, just record some hot Colombian girl. But I think that like what you're doing, what I'm trying to do, and what other people are doing, where you're like giving people the real deal, that's where people are not just, you know, liking the video that gets 1 million views, but they're actually building a perceived relationship with you know, the content creators, which is cool because you're actually helping people out. And the best part about it is when people say, hey bro, I came to Medellin because, you know, of stuff that I watched from you. So
yeah, that is a good feeling there. I just had a business meeting with a group of guys not even an hour and a half ago, and they're saying the same thing about Cali. Like, Dre, I wouldn't be here in Cali if it were not watching you and Andrea's content over the years, and you guys showing us the other side of living or being in Colombia. And so it's good, you know, that we know that our work, our content is finally being appreciated and noticed. Let me ask you this before we go back to your videos. Do you offer any form of consultations, or do you have a website or anything?
You know, I don't monetize my content at all. Not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just I run a marketing agency with a buddy, and I'm super busy on that side of things. So yeah, so for me, the content is more of it's a fun outlet, I guess you could say. And so what I do is like, if I get 8 guys hitting me up in a week and they're like, hey bro, let's hang out, I'm gonna be in town, I'll just arrange like one meetup and say, all right, hey, we're gonna go here. And, you know, everybody's meeting each other, and I just kind of make the connection, and, you know, they go ahead and do their thing from there. So that's kind of how I've been doing it, but I do it for free. I don't, you know, I'm not charging anybody because I don't want to be obligated to go if I don't want to go. So
I do the same thing. I just did that with the guys. I was just telling you about. I purposely brought them together with some of the guys that are already here. One guy, it was his first day yesterday, his birthday. And then it was the other group of guys. So I said, you know what? We're going to all meet up. And so you guys can share information. So when I'm not around, you guys can feel comfortable with knowing that you have contacts. Because as you well know, and I was mentioning this to them, and I want to mention this to the guys in the audience, everything in Colombia is about networking. Everything is about who you, am I kidding? The safest thing that you can have in Colombia is your network, because they'll tell you show you where to go, where not to go. They can show you opportunities. The networks will introduce you to the ladies. You know, one female can introduce you to another. She may have a man, but she'll introduce you to her 3 sisters, things like that. Let me see what you have to say in regards to the value of a network.
It is probably the single most important part when you come out here, because when I first got here, there was a guy that was a police officer in Austin, Texas, retired, has been living down here for a couple of years. When I first got here, I went to a random restaurant and met him. He showed me around, walked me around, told me all this stuff. And then from there, I met another guy here in Laureles, and he's introduced me to a bunch of people. So basically all my friends, all my, you know, network, all of this stuff stems from like 2 main relationships. And you take that and you keep stringing it along, and that leads to girlfriends. It leads to, you know, opportunities, new experiences, all kinds of stuff. And it doesn't happen without that initial touch point.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent way of putting it as well. Yes, sir. And shout out to my man Dion with the $5 love. Great interview. Great to have you here, AJ. I really appreciate you being here. Let's go back to your video, the little montage that we have. Let's continue on.
Come here to Medellin, you better be careful, bro. Number one, if they say the party starts at 6, it really starts at 9. And if they say I'll be there at 5, they really mean 8.
Before we go any further into that, is it just like this in Medellin as it is in Cali? Everybody flakes. I tell guys, don't take it personal. Guys will sit back and think, man, she's taking so long, she's flaking me, or she didn't show up and she didn't tell me anything. Bruh, I know grandmamas that flake, granddaddies, aunties. It just is. Am I right?
100%. Yep. Yep.
So go ahead.
Now I got a funny one. When I after being here for like 2 months, there was this bartender that she was real cute. She worked at Medellin Sports Bar like 3 years ago, whatever. And she actually asked me for my number, and I was like, okay. So, we texting, blah blah. We plan on doing something. She flakes. I'm like, no big deal, whatever. Then we plan on doing something. Like a few days later, she flakes again. So I don't talk to her for like 2-3 months. And then out of nowhere, I get a text from her. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So I said, hey, if you want to go out, come to my house and we'll go from here. So she did. She came to my place. We went bowling, hung out, blah, blah, had fun. And then we were supposed to go out a week later. And I said, hey, come to my house again and we'll go from here. And she said, no, I'll meet you there. I promise, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, I'm on my way. I go. I'm sitting there waiting. 30 minutes later, she never showed up. And I just was like, yeah, I'm never letting this happen again. So it's one of those things you either learn the lesson for yourself or you learn it through someone else's, experiences. And so hopefully, guys watching can learn it from our experiences.
And the funny part is Colombians do it to each other as friends. My wife does that to her friends a lot. She will flake them so fast. Yeah, girl, I'll meet you right there. And Andre be laying right in the bed. And I'm like, so you ain't going with your girls? No, I changed my mind. So you ain't gonna tell them or nothing. So you just they just at the restaurant waiting for you, and you ain't told nobody.
It's crazy.
Oh man. So and this is why I tell guys, make sure we don't take the flaking personal, because everybody gets flaked because everybody flaking each other. So it's not you, gentlemen. It's just in the water.
Yeah, it is. And they don't view time the same way that we do, being in the States, or punctuality or any of that kind of stuff.
No, that is so true.
2, it is common and normal for people to just stop you on the street and ask you questions. It's probably happened to me at least 500 times when I'm in taxis, when I'm walking, all the time. So don't be scared to go up and start a conversation, because it's normal. Number 3, almost no topics are off limits. People here are very open and they will discuss the craziest stuff in pena. So all that extreme conservatism where you're kind of scared to talk about certain topics, that don't really exist here. As I read through my comments, there are some Colombians that don't want gringos here. They'll say things like, go back home, or we don't want you here. And this is the reason why. You got these pedos coming in here and trying to get with kids. You got guys being rude, trying to stunt, floss, flash on the locals. And then parqueyeres, shit like this happens. Now, I don't know the backstory. Listen, there's certain things people might do that would set me off, and I might have to do what I gotta do. But in 3 years of being here, that's never happened. So if you're here for a weekend trip, there's no reason for it, bro. Leave that shit back where you're at, or don't come.
Before we go any further, I put that in there on purpose, because I know you left a great message, but I also want to talk about the fact, and I'm going to get to the super chats in a second, T-Mac. I also want to talk about the fact that when you're in Medellin, it comes with a certain dynamic of tourists, the weekend warriors. They treat Colombia like a rental car. And they have a tendency of not realizing that their actions hold consequences. Kind of like the guy who just got the 14 years for tearing up, stuff in customs in Medellin. I've been to Cartagena, and just destroying stuff in customs and end up, getting 14 years in Colombian jail. I'm gonna tell you something, AJ, man. That's one of the things that kind of deterred me from Medellin. Medellin is a beautiful, up and coming. It won in 2016 the most innovative city in the world. There is so much going on in Medellin. Medellin plans on being one of the first cities in the world with a drone highway for drones to drop and deliver stuff. They got some stuff coming down the turnpike. The mayors have always been good in Medellin, but the Pookie and Ray Ray behavior can be a little deterring for some of us.
Yeah, and I think it's gotten worse. I don't living in Laureles, most of my life is here, Belén, I go up to Sabaneta, Envigado once in a while. I go to Robledo. I go to these like little neighborhoods and barrios or whatever. But when I have friends in town or someone's visiting, they obviously want to go to Provenza, Pacayeres, and all that kind of stuff. And bro, I walked into it used to be called Yaris Park. It was a club. It's now called Sky Park or something like that.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you talk to.
Yeah, we walked in there because some guys that message me and they're like, hey, where should I go in Pacayeres? And I'll tell them go wherever, Gusto's Lounge or there. I walked in there. I'll never recommend it again because it was like insane, man. People standing up on the couches, people. It wasn't a great representation of us being, people from the U.S. coming into Medellin. And I just think that, obviously beautiful women attract men no matter what. That's human nature, right? But like you said, people treat it like a rental car instead of treating it like a Ferrari that someone lets you drive. And those are two completely different mindsets. And I think that more and more people are coming that are not respecting the local culture, not really giving a shit about what happens or what doesn't happen. They just got one thing on their mind. And the problem with that is you ruin it for everyone else. And even like a couple months ago, this whole thing with the airports in Miami and stuff like that, stopping people on planes and pulling people out of lines to interrogate them and all that kind of stuff. That all happened because some guy was down here with like a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old or something like that. Some gringo from Wisconsin or something. And so these guys are coming out here with their, messed up psychology, and they're doing things that nobody is not unacceptable. Nobody wants them to be doing, but they're doing it. And then what happens is Colombians hear this big story, then they start viewing, all the gringos, all the people from the States, like, oh, you guys do this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff. We don't want you here, and that's not what you want to do when you come into someone's country, right? You view it as coming into someone's home. You don't want to go in and, destroy it or make it where they're like, yeah, I don't ever want these guests back in here. And that's what a lot of dudes are doing, unfortunately.
True. And I like the last term that you use, unfortunately. And you know what makes it, before I'll go to the super chats, guys, excuse me. We're starting to get a lot of what I call Medellin expats here in Cali, where guys are like, I'm tired. I want to be in Colombia. I love it here, but I do not want to be around that Pookie Ray Ray environment. And so, not saying that all of Medellin is like that, of course, and not all of Cartagena is like that, but a lot of guys are saying it's so many. Let me not even say Pookie and Ray Ray environment. Let's say they don't want to be in a tourist city. For example, I'm from Tampa, Florida, in Orlando. Mm-hmm. One of the top reasons why I couldn't do Medellin personally, because I come from tourist cities, And I just was so burnt out on the 22 million people that visit Orlando every year. And then everybody wants to come to Tampa for Super Bowls and celebrations. And then they want to go to Clearwater Beach. And so I got so tired of the traffic and the headaches and prices going up because of all these tourists around. So I can relate to people in Medellin and Cartagena where come to prices being impacted by tourists. And so when I came here, I was more or less like, I don't want to be in a tourist city, one of the most famous cities, and that was Medellin, and the other one was Cartagena. So it was nothing about Medellin or nothing about Cartagena for me. And I'm finding that there are other people that are like me, that there is nothing wrong with Medellin. There's nothing wrong with Cartagena. They just don't want to be around a tourist hub. And so I'm finding a lot more people kind of glancing towards Cali, because when I got here, wasn't nobody here. It was like 2 or 3 brothers that was here, but a couple of white brothers. But dude, when I came here like in 2016, 17, it was my man, my man Mad Max, shout out to Gary. Gary was here in Cali in 1981 with Peace Corps. Right. But I'm starting to see slowly but surely a very mature audience that would normally be in Medellin. I know people that lived in Medellin 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden they're starting to come over to Cali. Also because Cali is 40% less bang for your buck than Medellin. So as things rise as far as costs for this apartment or that home or that vehicle, they're starting to come over to Cali. But let me ask you this: are you still seeing that growth in not expats, but in expats compared to just weekend warriors? Are you still seeing a growth over there in expats?
I am. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people are buying out here. Like the real estate market out here is hot. Like I have buddies that bought 3 years ago, and they've already seen $200,000 increase in their properties and things like that. So real estate is hot. There's a lot of these like Airbnb but longer term stay places that are being built and launching. And so I do see a lot more expats coming in. And what's funny is I would say 40% of the DMs that I get are people that are looking to stay here for an extended period of time. So it's not just the people that are coming to visit for 2-3 days.
I could easily say that I agree with that too. I would easily say in my case, we get probably maybe 60% of the people that we do consultations with, or people that just reach out to us in emails, are basically people that are looking to relocate. Because right now, after the election, I'll say even before the election, after the pandemic, people start to take life more serious, travel more serious, their dreams of visiting or living in another country a lot more serious. And then us content creators that have more informative, more information content, we start to take off instead of just for the weekend warrior content, but more informative content start taking off. The how-to, in other words, the how-to do it content start taking off, such as yours and ours and others. And now people are starting to see the opportunities that are out there to take advantage of in all these different parts. Like for example, I've got people that are in Colombia and they live in Manizales for years, in Armenia and Pareda, and they're not on camera, but they've been living out there for 20 years, or they've been living out there for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys, well, not just guys and women that have been here for years, man. I've met guys that have been out here 25 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I think a lot of people, they're not necessarily comfortable putting content out there. They want to stay behind the scenes. So a lot of the great gems and knowledge that I've learned come from those people that have been here for long periods of time. Yeah.
I'm the same way. I never sit back and I assume that I know everything or know of everything, or that the only people that I can learn from is the locals. There are some people that have been here with the locals longer than I have, and there are some things that they've learned. Let me hit these few super chats. My man T-Mac, shout out to T-Mac in the building. T-Mac says this. He said, Dre, I took my date bowling to the bowling alley, only 1.5 miles from my home in Laurellas. He said, it took me 25 minutes to go about 100 yards at 6 p.m. Yeah, 6 p.m. Yeah, I can see that. He said, traffic here is a beast. Took me 45 minutes to get there. Is that common in Medellin? Is that a common thing, gentlemen?
Man, if you leave between say 4:30 p.m. and 7 p.m., you're gonna be in the car for a while, man. It took me one time to get from here to Sabaneta about 2 hours one time.
Dang.
Yeah, and that was brutal. Yep.
Shout out to my man Terrell. Them Detroit boys.
You better back the fuck up out my face, goddammit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Don't play with me.
Shout out to them Detroit boys. He said, good evening, chat. He said, big bro and coach. Just leaving work. Coach, I've seen your videos on IG. You have great content. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate you, brother. Yes, sir.
Shout out to T with the $20 love. Look forward to seeing you when you get back here, T. Appreciate you, brother. And I appreciate you sent me your video also that you deal with for the medical tourism. So I'm going to be adding that to the intro. Shout out to you, brother. And so we've got those. Let's head back to your montage of content about the taxi driver scam.
Where this taxi scam in Medellin. So most people that visit only spend time in El Poblado. And right there on 10th Street, there's a bunch of taxis always lined up right by Parque Yeres. So one of my best friends, when he first got here like 4 years ago, he's there hanging out, he gets ready to go home, he gets in the taxi and he doesn't pay attention. So they drive him to Laureles and it's supposed to be like a 25,000 peso ride. And my friend always overpays, so he gave the guy 50,000. And the guy says, no, this isn't enough, you owe me more money. My friend looks up and notices that the guy never turned the meter on. So the driver is holding the 50,000 pesos in his right hand. And so my buddy gets pissed off and he grabs his wrist. And then with the other hand, he's trying to grab his money back. The driver takes his left hand, turns around, punches my buddy directly in the nose. They're going back and forth punching each other. And then all of a sudden, my buddy's phone flies into the front seat. The driver stops everything, picks up the phone off the floor, hands it back to my buddy. My buddy hands him back the 50,000 pesos and they go their separate ways. So the lesson is, if they don't have a meter on, do not get in that taxi.
Absolutely
period.
Correct.
So
absolutely correct. It's the same thing here as well as all over Colombia. If you do not see that meter on, and that's very important. And a lot of times, if you're coming from the airport, let me know if this is the same thing like this for you. A lot of times, if you're coming from the airport, talk. This is what I do. Ask somebody, and this is the value of networking, gentlemen. Ask somebody, hey guys, I'm on my way to Laureles from the airport. I'll be flying in tomorrow. How much does it usually cost for a ride from the airport, fellas? Ask somebody in advance, a couple of weeks in advance. Go on a Facebook page and ask. Go on in a WhatsApp group. Go to your favorite YouTuber and put in the comments. Somebody may know something, but a lot of times one of the taxi driver scams is because you'll just jump in a taxi and you'll ride, and all of a sudden you're paying 100,000 pesos for a 70,000 pesos or 40,000 pesos ride. I never get into a taxi. Well, I drive, so I never get into a taxi without actually from the airport, without letting them know, like, listen, okay, I got 60,000 pesos, I got 70,000 pesos, and because I already know what the price is. And Ace Live showed me that the first time I went to Medellin, I was like, well, how much y'all pay him? And I talked to Ace on the phone. He said, man, get that man, because he was like, the guy was like 85,000. I said, wait a minute. Call Ace. Ace said, man, get that man 70,000. Get over here. And I was like, this is the funny part. I said 70,000. He was like, okay.
Exactly.
No argument, no nothing, no. He just like, okay.
You know what's funny about that? There's now a standard rate. So on the taxis, some of these guys hide it, but in the taxis, there's actually an airport rate. Yeah, T-Mac just said it. The airport fixed fee is 110,000 pesos. And so that's the official rate to get from the airport to Medellin now. And so anybody that's charging you more than that, unless it's like some kind of private driver or whatever, they're just getting over on you, because that's the standard rate for all the taxis.
Let me ask you this. T-Mac made a statement. He said, I always use Uber 100% of the time. I'm an in-driver guy.
Yep.
We like in-driver. What are you? In-driver, DD, Uber?
I use all three, and it just depends on the situation. Because sometimes Uber, I use Uber the most, but sometimes Uber there might not be anybody nearby, or they got like crazy surcharges because whatever, and so I'll just jump on DD or in driver and pay cash and just do it that way. But yeah, I use all three.
All right. And Terrell says, he said, when I lived in Medellin, he said I had a driver. He had a driver. He said, good dudes are still, and we are still friends. He speaks English also. So that's a good thing as well. When you have drivers, I always, whenever guys come down here and they use a driver, I collect drivers' numbers.
Yep.
So when guys come down and they need a driver, I got a group of drivers, and here you go. So just in case you're coming down here in Cali and you just want to use a driver on a daily basis, or you want to have a driver to for example, drive you to Guatapé so you can climb the rock and enjoy the day there, and then he'll come back and pick you up in a couple of days, you can do that. And so those are some of the benefits of a driver as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I do the same thing. I collect some numbers, and I'll just send it over. There's a girl that I have down here that picked me up my very first day in Medellin, and so anytime I have someone that arrives, I always just send her number over.
Oh, that's what's up, man. And that's like how you do it, sharing, helping people with their business.
Sitting at Sweet Georgia Cafe the other day with my boy Mike having a coffee, and this real cool guy shows up with his dad. They're from Florida, and he's like, what's up, man? I watch your Instagram. And he says, I got the other day, bro. I got drugged. So I respond, damn, bro, what happened? He says, I met a girl on Bumble. She came over, poured a couple drinks. However, I was cautious, so I switched the drink. So I drank the one she was supposed to drink and had her drink the other one. And she started giving me a massage. And then she took her top off and put a top hat in his mouth. Wakes up a few hours later, cell phone gone, but luckily she didn't get his laptop. He said, go ahead, bro, you can share that to your IG. If you're not retired or independently wealthy, you gotta have some type of skill that allows you to work from anywhere, or a remote job. For me, that skill is sales and marketing. For you, it could be Amazon, drop shipping, websites, whatever. Number two, you gotta figure out what type of visa makes sense for you. I got the digital nomad visa, also a student visa, business visa. I think you gotta do like 30,000 or 35,000 for a business visa. An investor visa. Investor visa, there's two different types. One of them is like 90,000 to 100,000. The other one is closer to like 160, 170,000, and they give you different amount of time depending on which one you get. You also got a marriage visa, a visa if you have a kid, and I think there's also one if you adopt a kid. For me, I'm not getting married and I'm not having kids, so my next visa is gonna be the business visa. But once you figure that all out, then you apply, get approved, and you're rocking and rolling. Listen, we all know a lot of guys come to Medellin because of the beautiful women out here. And a lot of dudes jump on Tinder and Bumble and Colombian Cupid. They try to set up these dates and things like that. And a lot of these guys end up getting drugged or robbed. So this is an ultimate blueprint for how to avoid that. This comes from hundreds of guys that I've met over the last 3 years and hundreds of DMs that I've gotten. Number one, stay at a place with 24/7 security. And even if you don't have 24/7 security, if you invite someone to your place, tell them that they need their cedula, which is their ID. Next one, get social media profiles. Everybody has Instagram, Facebook. If they're not willing to give you that, it's a red flag. And also, if they give it to you and all of their followers are guys and they only have like 10 thirst trap photos, that's also a red flag because it ain't their real profile. Next one, be wary of them bringing a friend. A lot of times they bring the friend, so there's a distraction, and then there's the person that's doing the drugging. Next one, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Most good Colombian girls are not going home with you on the first night you meet them.
Could you say that again, Pastor? Pastor, can you say that again? Most good. When I say it, they think I'm just being, man, you don't know what you talking about, Dre. If Andrea say it, they have believe her. Could you repeat what you just said and why?
Listen, man. So I've had the opportunity to meet, talk to, hang out with, date, whatever, a lot of different women in Colombia and Colombian women, right? And here's the thing: they start off very shy and very reserved, even if they're an outgoing personality, they have this wall up for the first,
True.
you know, however long, and then they shatter it and it's gone. And if you're going out to dinner for an hour and a half, that it's not enough time to chip away at that thing to shatter it, because the good girls, they're not the ones that are, you know, out doing all the crazy stuff. And so because of that, they don't even want to be viewed in that light. So especially if they're going on a date with a gringo, the last thing they want to do is after an hour go back to the person's place, because now they're just in the category with all the prepagos and everything else. And so, you know, I think some guys, you know, hey man, I'm tall, dark, and handsome. You know what I mean? They, of course, they're gonna want to go home with me, but that's not really like part of the culture. I'm not saying it could never happen, but if you meet a girl on a dating app and an hour and a half later she wants to go back to your place, either she's asking you for money or she has some other intention in mind. 90% of the time. Obviously, there's always exceptions, but I always say, don't. You know, half the girls out here don't even care, you know, how good looking you are. It's more about like, you know, are you not going to cheat on them? You know, how you are as a provider, all these other things. So, you know, that's there. And there's good looking Colombian dudes too. So it's not like you're coming from the States and you're all of a sudden the best looking person around. So you got to be careful with that. You got to put your ego to the side sometimes and say, is this too good to be true? I'm going to wait and, you know, make sure that I'm not going to put myself in a bad situation.
Absolutely. That's a good way of putting it. And that's how we look at it here. And when I say it, guys always look at me like I'm a buzzkill or I'm Sally, you know, Sally Sad Sack trying to ruin the fun. And I have to differentiate. Like, I'm not talking about, I always say this, I'm not talking about the beautiful bottom feeders. That's my little line. I say, you know, I'm not talking about the beautiful bottom feeders. I'm talking about the good everyday women that you see going to work, that are the school teachers, the school principals, the ladies that work in the pharmacy, the young ladies that work in the mall, the women that work at the gym. These women have something to gain and to lose. And so they're not going to jeopardize their reputation. And here's another one, their family's reputation. My wife said this, one of the reasons why she's doesn't belong to the streets, because she didn't want her dad to feel shame. Not just her dad. She didn't want her dad to feel like, your daughter is out there. I saw your daughter with this guy, then that guy, she is here, there. She didn't want to shame her family. And so a lot of guys don't realize how important the family is. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where family is everything out here. Like, it's people, a lot of adult people, you know, women or whatever, they still live with their moms. They still live with, you know, sisters, brothers, whatever. And family is the most important thing out here for a lot of people. And I think that, you know, for the Colombian women, I don't blame any of them that go into the sex work, because that, you know, you could be a nurse and make, you know, less than $400, $500 a month, where they could go make that in a weekend, you know, doing the other stuff. So I don't ever blame anyone for that. But I really respect the girls that could easily go out and do that, but they decide not to, because their self-worth and their, you know, reputation is more important than that. And so I think that kind of on the same topic, the Colombian women that are good women, they don't even want to be associated with it. They want to be as far away from it as possible, because they don't even want to fall into that category. So true.
So true. You know what? Kind of funny. The first thing that caught my eye with my wife was the fact that she was actually one of the first ones that said, "Don't expect it the first night." Mm-hmm. And I'm looking like, who is this woman that dareth speaketh to me in such a tone? You know, so I'm thinking to myself, like, somebody actually has integrity. And so let me get to know this woman of integrity, because I have a saying that I use quite often when it comes to being here in Colombia. And I want to hear what you have to say about this. We're going to continue the last part of your video. We're going to go to T-Mac's comment. But before we do that, I have a saying that I share with guys, and I've been sharing it for years. What's the difference between a river and a flood? A river has standards, it has boundaries. I'll say, and one of the biggest problems that I often see when it comes to us traveling globally, we let down our standards or our boundaries that helped us be successful throughout life in our home countries. We come and try to pretend to be something that we aren't. And once the flood of life of that woman coming into your life subsides, you see everything that's been destroyed. So one of the things I say is this: A, if you're looking for a good woman, first of all, you need to have boundaries or standards. B, expect her or look for a woman that has boundaries or standards. If she does not have any boundaries or any standards, you will flood all over her life and she will flood all over yours. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's brilliant, because to the same person with different standards is a completely different, outcome. And so I think that in life, this is a lesson beyond Medellin or beyond travel or whatever. In life, if it easy come, easy go. And so I think one thing that people have to be cautious of is, if you are looking for like a relationship or something like that, and this girl goes home with you the first night, the next time somebody romances her, even if she's with you or whatever else, you got to be cautious of some of that stuff. And so I love that, because it is the difference between something that feeds people and takes care of people and keeps people alive, and the thing that destroys people and kills people are just those boundaries. So I think that's genius.
That's so true. And I like what you said, because Andrea introduced me to that early when you were saying that these women don't want to shame themselves. They don't want to shame their families. They don't want to be, and that's so, a lot of guys don't realize that good women try to differentiate themselves like a cavern from the party girls. So when guys sit back and say, man, Colombian women are this and that, no, bro. No, the Colombian women you deal with, because on this other side of the cavern are all these good women that shun that behavior of these other women. That is so true. There are women that specifically will let you know and show you, I am not one of them. Don't talk to me like that. Don't walk up on me like that. Don't pretend I'm like that. No, you can't have it like that. I have seen that so many times here, even when I first started coming to Colombia, and I see it to this day with the good women, that you're so correct. They are far from what the few women that represent the party girl or the scammer side are all about.
Yeah. And it's funny, I talked to a guy that was visiting for like the second or third time the other day, and he said, yeah, man, I went to the mall and I saw this girl and thought she was really attractive. So I went up, I started talking to her, and then I asked her for her number, and she looked at me and she said, why? And he said, I don't think it's because she thought I wasn't attractive or whatever. He thinks that it's because she instantly in her mind went to the fact that he's trying to pay her for sex, and that's why he's asking for her number. So that's a big thing, that these normal, good girls, a lot of them don't even deal with gringos, and you got to break down a wall, which is why you got to have time here, to spend with them, to let them know that you're not just, like the guys in Paqueyeres.
There are women that, like how you said that, there are women that even if they like gringos, if you're not a gringo that's staying, you can't get the number.
Yep, no chance.
Even to this day, if I'm just out and about conversing and just having some fun with you guys and just out and about, and there's some ladies there, we're just sitting there just talking, just having a regular conversation, I get more respect for A, I get a lot of respect for being here, and B, I get a lot of respect for being married to somebody that's from Colombia. So they look at that like a plus. But the fact that I live here, how long have you been here? And I tell them how long I've been here. So it's almost like, oh, okay. So, okay, now we can talk to you. Now we can really take you more serious than some guy that's just going to be here for 8 days compared to your, 8 or 9 years. And so it's amazing how there are women that will not open up the door of getting to know you seriously if you don't plan on being here or plan on moving here, or if you don't live here. You notice that?
I noticed that, yeah, big time. And I think that the women that are, single and working and like, they don't want to waste their time. They're not looking to, go have fun with someone. They're looking for like a relationship. They're looking for, something that's good and real. And so for them, they probably they're a beautiful Colombian woman, so they could have any guy that they want, but they're choosing to be with someone that has potential. So I always tell guys, hey, if you're coming here for 5-6 days, the chances of you finding a wife is probably going to be tough, but you can get some numbers and build those relationships over time and then find someone. But, I think that's another misconception, is that some gringos think that they're going to come down here, and just because they're from the States, all these Colombian women are going to fall in love with them. That ain't how it works, man. That's a small percentage, but most of them, even though you have more resources, they'd rather have someone that is here, that can, be there, and those kind of things. Not in every situation. I'm just, nothing is 100% of the time, because there are exceptions to every rule.
True. Absolutely correct. Some of the guys and I were talking today as we were having lunch and dinner. We were talking about the fact that a lot of guys don't realize how many broken hearts we leave when we get back on the plane, when we're playing games with the good women's heart. I've seen, from being here, I've seen women that are just broken in tears because we lied and coerced her out of the sex, but she really, really liked us, and we pretended like we either lied and said that we live here, or lied and say that we're going to be moving here, and then come to find out that this good woman, you just was using her for the sex because you were here for 2 months, and then you just got rid of her, and she's like, dude, I told you I'm not like that, and you used me just so you could get what you wanted, as if we were in high school. And so a lot of guys don't realize one of the reasons women don't look at us automatically, oh, you're a gringo, you got money, you're going to sweep me off my feet, that Cinderella moment, is because her female cousin got hurt by a gringo. Her best friend got hurt by a gringo. And then one time she got hurt trusting a gringo, thinking that the guy was a good guy. So I often, me and know this is, and I want to hear what you have to say, just as we're trying to get to know them and see which one is a good woman and a beneficial woman, they're doing the exact same thing as far as vetting us, because so many gringos come down and lie in these countries that these women in all these other countries don't know which one of us are real and authentic and who to trust, or who's lying and just trying to get some coochie for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. But you really have no plans on really get to know her or really coming down to their particular country. I really want to hear what you have to say in regards to them also vetting us.
Yeah, it comes back to that same point that we were talking about, where the reason why they're probably not going to go home with you on the first night is because they're trying to vet. They're trying to see, does this guy just want to get in my pants or whatever? Is he going to try to offer me money for sex? So they're going through a vetting process themselves. And, in every relationship, someone's the prize and someone's the chaser, right? And those good women, they're very traditional. And when you say traditional, it's like, you go back, to our grandparents or whatnot. Our grandfathers had to go and kind of like, get our grandmothers to trust them and build that relationship. It's not like, things are today where it's almost the opposite. And so because of that, the good women, you do have to build that relationship and build that trust over a little bit of time if you want someone that's going to, be loyal and all those kind of things. If you just want someone for fun, you could get that. It's it is what it is. But I think you're spot on in what you said, that they want to be as far away from the pre-pagos and as far away from even being considered in that group as they can. And so because of that, they're going to vet you to make sure that you're not thinking that they're in that category.
So true. So true. Shout out to my man Cali Culture, my man Jay. Jay says this. He said, guys want to go to Colombia and get that fast microwave love. That's a good point. Microwave love. I always say just add water. That seriously, dudes think they can come down here and just add water. Like we don't have to put in the work of trying to find a good woman. All we got to just add water, and everything that you and I have accomplished just automatically will happen. A good relationship takes time and dedication. Absolutely correct. Let me scroll back up to T-Mac. Shout out to you, T-Mac, with the $10 love. And you said this. He said, I have a friendship with an official airport taxi. He said, so I only use him and pass his information on to friends. Everywhere else is Uber. Every time I have a problem, Uber promptly settles it. Shout out to Uber. Glad that they're doing what they need to do. Definitely. Yep. I haven't been in the Ubers and in drivers in a couple of years, because I've been driving for 4.5 years now, and so and Colombians have no peripheral, dude. I mean, you can forget about peripherals. It took me a couple of years to figure out what it was about when they walk, when they drive on a bike. It doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, what is it? It took me a couple of years to put my fingers on it, and I was like, Colombians don't use peripheral.
Nope.
If it's not literally in front of them, they will walk in front of you in line because they just don't see peripherals.
That's a fact. I got a buddy that's 82 years old, got hit by a moto who just wasn't paying attention, turned, hit him. He was in the hospital, and they just don't have it.
No. But I get kind of used to, as far as driving, I get guys keep asking me like, are you nervous? How long it took you to get used to it? You're still getting used to it, but for the most part, you kind of like, you get used to the fact that you're not using American driving rules, and Colombia is more like the rest of the world. Colombia driving is more like Jamaican driving, which is more like in the Philippines, which is more like Thailand, which is more like Africa. So America and UK's driving is actually not the norm. And so you have to that's the part about driving. It was the roads and the people that got me. It was more or less the reprogramming my mind from American. For example, Colombians don't really drive no faster unless you're on a highway, no faster than like 30, 35, 40 miles an hour.
Yep.
You're really not driving that fast compared to the States. You're just more in a congested situation, but you're not moving that fast to where, you might take a life as easily, not saying that it can't happen, but as easily as you would do, doing 70, 80, 90 miles an hour as we do back home in the States.
Yeah.
And I did notice.
Yeah, and it's funny the way that Colombians handle accidents, because, I don't know what percentage of the time, but a good percentage of the time, I've been in Ubers before, and moto runs into us, or my guy bumps into the back of the car in front of us, or vice versa. It's probably happened 4 or 5 times, and every time they get out of the car, they look at it, make sure nothing's damaged or whatever. They shake hands and they go about their way. So I think the way that they drive is conducive to them, not really worrying about that stuff, because there's less consequences. It's not like in the States where, a fender bender can cost your insurance company tens of thousands of dollars, and then, you have these rate hikes. So I think there's less risk, which is probably why they drive the way that they drive.
Yeah, and the other thing about law, that they just started this a couple of years ago, that if nobody is injured, you guys negotiate who's going to pay who what. I don't care if you only got 50,000 pesos in your pocket or 500,000 pesos. Depending on the damage, you and the guy, and if you guys don't have anything, so be it. But you and the person basically kind of negotiate. So the trans police won't come unless they're just riding by. Trans police won't come. No attorneys. I mean, not attorneys, but insurance processors. None of that stuff. If you don't want it. Now, if you want it, you're gonna end up paying 3-4 times as much. But for the most part, here in Colombia, like one guy hit us, and it wasn't anything major. He lived 4 blocks away. He parked his car. He said, "I don't have any cash with me." He said, "But I'll be right back." He walked home, came back with 200,000 pesos. He said, "This is all I got." I said, "That's all you need, man. No big deal." And we took off, and he took off, and that's what it is. So like American mindset is, oh, we need to exchange driver's license and let me see your registration, and I'm calling the police. We need to file a police. Colombia, that's not going to happen. So that's what I meant about you have to reprogram yourself from thinking how things are done in the United States. If it's not that much of a big deal in Colombia, they're not going to make a big deal out of it when it comes to driving. And especially if nobody got hurt. If nobody got hurt, you are not going to see the traffic cop drive for an hour just to get to you, or a police report filled out for you just because you guys got an offender bender and nobody got hurt and you guys exchange numbers. Especially if you just scratched the side of each other's car or just bumped the back of. No, traffic police are not coming out there for that. And that's just the law. It's not like an unwritten law, gentlemen. It is a literal law. They're not coming. They are not coming. And so, like I said, I think that was really start to be implemented maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They just started that one.
I got a funny story for you real quick. Just along the same topic. One time my buddy Mike and I are driving in an Uber on the highway, and we're underneath the bridge, and we see this motorcycle kind of swerving in and out of, in front of cars and then going around or whatever. And then all of a sudden we see him come through one side and hit a motorcycle on the other side, and that motorcycle tips over.
Right.
And then we see the guy on the motorcycle get up and try to grab the guy, and the guy pushes him down and then takes off. And so as he's getting up, we get closer, we realize it's actually a police officer, one of the not a police officer, but the the traffic police. And so literally this dude was zooming in and out of the cars, ran into the traffic police officer, knocked him off his bike. The traffic police officer tried to get up and arrest him. The dude pushed him back down and took off. And I think the way that police handle things in Colombia is much different too, not just with the laws with driving, but also just like they're not going to, I don't know what would have happened in the States, and I'm not going to say this is true, but there's a possibility or probability that officer takes out his gun and starts shooting. You know what I mean? And out here, the guy just got up and was like, whatever, this asshole. So the way that police act is different too.
And it's kind of funny that you would say that police are kind of more mild-mannered, depending on the situation compared to the States. I was telling guys the other day with driving, driving while black is not a thing here for many of us in Colombia that have our license. I never get nervous. I don't look in the rearview mirror and worry about, oh my God, here come the cherries. They must be ready to pull me over, or I have some cop riding behind me, checking my plates to see if I'm riding dirty, because we already know if they had to check plates and see if somebody's riding dirty, half of Colombia will be empty as far as the cars. And so that would, so I feel more at ease and more at peace in regards to the traffic cops, the everyday police officers. I've only been pulled over 3 times. One was for they were just pulling everybody over at that time period on the street. We could tell that was quota, because everybody that had a nice vehicle, they was pulling over only nice vehicles, right? They were trying to get that quota. So it was like 7-8 of us pulled over on the street where you normally can turn. Then all of a sudden they were like, well, you guys can't turn here today. Like, only today, huh? And the other 2 times were for fundraisers, that they were having a fundraiser for children's wheelchairs. And so they were pulling some of us over, and they were like, could you guys donate a few dollars if you don't mind for the wheelchairs? But other than that, I never had any issues with the police officers. We had an incident here in Cali just a few weeks ago. Police officer pulled over a guy, I believe, in his car. And he was, I think was giving him a ticket for something. And it was a black police officer, and the guy cussed him out. And it was somebody recorded it, and it was all on social media. right? And within 24 hours, the mayor had written a letter to him, he had gotten an award for how calm he was during the situation, didn't let it handle it. And the guy, because the video went viral so fast, he got fired from his job.
Wow.
The guy that did the little racial slur while he was getting his ticket got fired from his job. And the black guy that was a police officer that was so calm about the whole scenario, because this guy was just acting an idiot. And in the States, he'd have been arrested easily. But the traffic cop was just so calm. And so the next day, he got like an award, some type of special award with the mayor because of how he behaved as a police officer. And that other guy, he lost his job. And as you well know, in Colombia, losing one contract can or losing one job can impact your other jobs as far as being hired because you did something stupid.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and I think along those same lines, I think this is a little off topic, but it's in alignment. I think out here, tell me if you agree with this. There is colorism, but I don't know if there's racism, if that makes sense. In terms of, you said the guy was cussing out a black officer, right? I think that there is colorism where Colombians, like, they have a white baby and, oh, mi blanco or whatever, right? But I don't know if there's like this people with darker skin are less than or that kind of thing that exists in the States.
I find it more, and I agree with you. I'm not going to deny that part, but I'm not Afro-Colombian, so I can't really dig too deep off into it. But Colombians have a saying here, at least in Cali, they say this: everybody's black. I don't know if they said it in Medellin, but here they say everybody's black because you got a black auntie or a black grandfather or your great grandmother was black. Everybody got, when you go down the line here in Colombia, everybody's got a full black family heritage somewhere down the line. And so here in Cali, they just say, listen, everybody's black.
Yep.
If you go back in our families, everybody's black. Somebody's in the family that got me here was a black person, and whoever else it was, a blanco. So I find more of, if you want the truth, I find more classism in other countries than racism like it is the United States.
Yeah.
The spots that I go to, if I can afford to go there, I deserve to be there. Some of the spots, I'm the only black guy that can afford to go to some of these spots. And I've never been shunned or felt uncomfortable or was like, you know what, I feel a little awkward because I'm the only black guy here. No, everybody treated me the same, because if you can afford to be at this spot or at this golf course or at this all-inclusive resort, then welcome. Nobody's looking at you like, why is he here? So I find more classism in South America than American style. Let's put it like this: American style of racism.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's different. It's almost it's a paradigm shift, I guess you could say, because being in the States, living there, and you see how things operate sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and then you come out here and you realize that it's more like you said, hey, I live in wherever, Bejo, and you come to Poblado. And that's kind of where people might look at you like, oh, you don't have the same type of money. But that's the thing that happens more so than like, oh, you're dark skinned, we don't want you here.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. We were out and about last night, and my boy's birthday. He first time being here, but this Cali, it's salsa, so I'm dancing. I love salsa music, salsa dancing, right? You don't have a choice, especially if your wife family Calinos and Calinas. You ain't got a choice. You will get on the dance floor. And so I'm dancing with one young lady, and she's really not being too, she's being nice, but she's not being too social with everybody. And so she asked me, say, do you live here? And I was like, yeah, I live here, me and my wife, so forth and so on. She said, oh, that's great. And she said, well, where do you live? And I was like, I'm in La Flor. So La Flor is like zone 5, zone 6. Mm-hmm. And so I can tell her demeanor as far as communication even became more closer as far as, and more open as far as communicating, just based off of the area that I live in. And I've had that happen several times. Like, and my wife goes through it. Where do you live? Not what do you do? What do you own? They will ask you first, where do you live? I'll know exactly who you are. I'll know what you own. You don't have to tell me where you work. All you got to do is tell me, where do you live? And that'll answer all the questions. Is it like that in Medellin?
It definitely is. You got the barrios, you got Buenos Aires, you got Manrique, or they have a name for that area like Popular. You got Bello, and you hear certain areas, and people instantly think certain things, even though there's nice places in all these different areas. You hear something and you instantly think about what that area is like. So a lot of times when you hear someone's from Manrique or from Buenos Aires, it's kind of like, okay, that's a hot zone. You got to be careful dealing with people from those areas. And I think for Colombians, when they hear those, they're kind of thinking, okay, these are people that have less money, less resources, whatever. And not that it's so blatant, but you can, like, you go to El Tesoro Mall in Poblado, you can really see how they treat different people, or you go to certain areas, you can see it. In other parts of the city, it's not as noticeable. Like in Sabaneta, you don't really notice it, or here in Laureles, very rarely. But Poblado is the place where you will see that classism and the way that people will look at other people that they know have less than.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot here in Cali. It's kind of, I'll give a perfect example. We went to a coffee shop about a week ago, Andre and I. It was so far up in the mountains, up in the clouds, hidden. But once you got there, it was one of the most beautiful coffee shops I've ever seen. I thought I was in Europe with the giant mountains of Sweden. It was that beautiful. And I haven't dropped a video on it yet, but it was really beautiful. But I didn't feel awkward. Why? Because all the people around knew the only way you could get here, bruh, you got to have a vehicle. And you just can't have a bike trying to come up through here. You got to come, because you climb, your truck is basically climbing over stuff. And so I'm looking at all these Toyota Ford runners and all these other Audi trucks and BMW and Mercedes vehicles and the BYD vehicles and our SUV, the Equinox. And so you're seeing that if you can make it here, if you can afford to be here, you belong here. So everybody's friendly to the class that they're in. It's never awkward. I'm from Tampa. My next door neighbor, his son goes to the University of Tampa.
Yep.
And my neighbor speaks English, which is not common. But now the kids downstairs, because they're teaching mandatory English, and it's at least in the schools in Cali, the kids are speaking English, so they can't wait to run up on me all the time to practice their English.
Yep. Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I noticed that there's more money here in Medellin even than 3 years ago. I don't know if you're noticing that in Cali. I don't know if the tourism's contributing to that. But man, 3 years ago, I would see a really nice car or whatnot once in a while. But I'm seeing it more and more now. I'm seeing it darn near every day. And I think that because more and more Colombians that maybe owned a place, and now because the real estate market, they sold it, now they're in a whole different class, or because they have some type of business that they've been able to increase their prices or whatever, and now they're in a whole different class. I think that you're seeing that separation happen more and more, and I don't know how much we're contributing to it or not, but I do see it like very noticeably just from a few years ago.
I think one of the things that's taking place, that the average Colombian is becoming more business savvy, more tech savvy. You're getting more people that are in the tech as before. You're getting more people that are getting their degrees as before. Like the last generation were the offspring of the farmers and the small towners, like my wife's mom and dad came from, they were town folk
Yep.
who moved to the Medellins, who moved to the Calis. My wife generation is the first generation of the master degrees, the associate degrees, and then this next wave of the tech kids that knows how to do this with AI and know how to do in social media generation, and the cloud engineering, the cybersecurity, the nerd kids.
Yep.
And so these generations can afford now zone 5, zone 6, zone 4, to whereas when mom and dad came, they were zone 2, 3, and 4, the working class zones.
Yeah.
I'm starting to know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
And I think technology helps with that a lot. You know, even from a, you know, people having access to iPhones or things like that, computers, I've seen an increase in that as well. So I think it's that combination of being that second generation person in the city or whatnot, and then having the access to technology where they can go out and do things and research and all this kind of stuff. You know, a lot of people from here grew up without a lot, and so they have that hunger, that drive, and so when given the opportunity to do it, they're going to go get it.
Yes, sir. Shout out to 313 Nate. Nate says this. He said, I love the idea that you and him, meaning you, Coach AJ, you and him are speaking true facts about Colombia. Remember, 2 O's, no you. There is no you in Colombia. He said, I love that country. He said, I have been there before and I'm coming back. Shout out to you, brother. Glad to hear that. And shout out to all you guys that are here, as well as who did I see that popped up? Shout out to Vaughn. Glad to see that you're here, Vaughn. Appreciate you, brother, being here. See, I just so happened to search your channel. Hey, and you're live. Shout out to you, Vaughn. Appreciate you being here. Let's go back to your video. I had a little bit left in the clip. Let's take a look when you were talking about relationships.
Science says it takes 7 hours of being with someone for them to feel comfortable to take that next step. So after an hour and a half dinner, just be cautious. And last one, make sure the story adds up. If they tell you they work at a hospital, but yet they're on their phone all day, seem to always be at home, the math ain't mathing. Put up that yellow flag and have some caution.
That's an excellent point. When you named off a few points, let's go to the love part. We said we're going to be talking about lifestyle, we're going to be talking about laws, and we've done all this so far. We talked about love, but I also want to talk about something that you mentioned just a few minutes ago. One of the things that you mentioned in that last snippet of the clip was, first of all, get her social media. One of the things that you'll notice, like you said, if it's just mainly guys that are subscribed to her social media, and most of her photos or thoughts, I don't care how attractive she is a red flag. And I'll tell you this because you can attest to this. Most Colombians, especially the women, post family events, birthdays, kids' birthdays, graduations. If they went to New York that one time, they go, you know, the famous female Colombian pose. I don't know what that finger do, but Colombian women love putting that one. Am I lying, AJ? That's why you're laughing. They love putting that one finger up in the air. My wife does it. Everybody does. Every female Colombian that I know, whenever they go somewhere, is like I don't know, the personal Elvis pose. But you'll see that on their social media. They do not hide the graduations. They don't hide when they first bought their first bike. You'll see all this stuff. You won't just see it. This is another one. You just won't see inside of an Airbnb on her photos, or inside of a club, or inside of a restaurant. Exactly. Am I correct?
You're 100% correct. And I'm going to add to that. If you get their IG and you see Dubai, Mexico, you know, and they're like, people have those stories, and you see, you know, Europe and this place and that place, just know she has an agenda, most likely, because, you know, she's met gringos and milked them for everything she could out of that relationship, and she's probably going to do it to you too. So just a word of caution. If you do get the IG and she has that, that's just, you know, that's just a little bit of a, I'll say, a yellow flag.
Absolutely. She has more than one sponsor. More than one sponsor. Well, like I say, a lot of these guys like to come down here like Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and you think they got a suitcase full of clothes, but a suitcase full of capes for every occasion. They love captain, boy. They love saving somebody to make them feel good about themselves at times. The other thing that you mentioned was you mentioned the part about the photos. Make sure that you monitor and look at her photos, and also look at her Instagram. And the reason why I brought up the photos in regards to Airbnbs, a lot of you guys don't realize the street girl or the pay for play or the party girl or the beautiful bottom feeder will take the photo that you took of her in your Airbnb, post it, that jacuzzi, on her social media to lure in the next sucker. Am I correct?
You're 100% correct. They'll post it on their WhatsApp story, their Instagram story, and obviously there's people that are wealthy here in Colombia. Most
Correct.
people that you're going out with, the large majority are in, I think 60% of this country is in poverty. And so
True.
if they're in a nice luxury place with a view and a hot tub and an indoor swimming pool and this and that, that's probably a gringo's spot. I got a funny one I'll tell you real quick. I have a buddy that was quote unquote dating this girl that works on La Setenta. And
Right.
One day she sends him a photo of her, without clothes on, but she takes the photo in a mirror that's on the ceiling, and he doesn't notice it. And I'm like, bro, the only way she's in a place with a mirror on the ceiling, that's not her house. She was obviously doing something, at that time, and she just repurposed that photo to send it to you. So,
And not just to you.
Exactly.
Some of these women have fan clubs full of dudes that they send photos to. So never get fooled by when you see a photo. Let me ask you this. How do you feel? We're still talking about the subject matter of love. How do you feel about guys using dating apps? I have my theory of how to, but what do you think?
I don't use it just because, 99 out of every 100 guys that I hear get drugged and robbed, it came from a dating app. And then the other
True.
one is from Paqueyeres. So for me, I would rather go up to someone on the street and say hello and start a conversation and, move about it that way. But I do have friends that use it and they don't have any problems. But they've been here for months or years or whatever.
Right.
And so they kind of know those red flags. They know what to look for. And so even though I know most of those things, I still don't use it personally because I don't want to spend 10 hours, trying to get one date. I got better things to do with my time. But yeah, I think it can be used well. And I think you probably can meet a decent girl on there. But the filtering that you have to do, you almost got to have a personal assistant that just works for you, doing your dating app. So for me, I don't use it, but I do. Like I said, I got buddies that they don't work. They just spend all day on Tinder and they have success. So just depends.
So my man 313, shout out to 313 in the building.
You better back the fuck up out my face, goddammit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Don't play with me.
Shout out to them 313 Detroit boys. He said, but if you don't use the app, he said, what is the best way that you can feel safe? What is the best way that you know that a woman is, how you know that a woman is genuine? And shout out to you once again for that statement. What do you have to say in regards to that?
I think the biggest tell is going to be the social media. So for example, if I meet someone on the street, before I even ask for their WhatsApp, I'll ask them, oh, you got Instagram? And I'll go to their Instagram and follow them on Instagram. And that'll tell you, like we were just talking about, if they got pictures of family, if they got, stories and these kind of things, they're actively using it. That'll typically tell you that, okay, this person is a real person. They gave you like a real account. And no one's going to give you photos of their kids. Well, I don't want to say no one, but most girls that are going to like try to drug you and all this stuff, they're not going to give you the photos of their kids and their family and all that kind of thing because it's too risky on their part. It reveals who they are too much. So that's one way. Another way is, like we were talking about earlier, see what the interactions like in terms of if she's like, oh yeah, let's go to dinner right now. Oh, you want to go back to your place? Those are red flags because the normal girl's not going to do that. So having a good vetting, like good questions that you ask, in combination with finding out some ways to see that they're a real person. Like, do they have a photo on their WhatsApp profile? Do they post WhatsApp stories? But in person, the other thing too is if you talk to people that are like working at places, you know where they work. You know what I mean? So it's like if something goes wrong, you got that piece of knowledge that you might not have from a girl from a dating app. And I'll add this one last point. On the dating app, sometimes what happens, they'll add you, they'll start a conversation, they'll get you on WhatsApp, and they immediately remove you from the dating app. And some part of the reason they do that is because they may not want you to have their name or whatever they have registered on the dating app. But then also sometimes that WhatsApp, you're actually talking to a dude, their boyfriend, the guy from the gang in the barrio that's setting everything up so that she meets you and then they rob you. So the group, yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
That's an excellent point. Real excellent point. For me, I would say, and once again, you asked the question, what's the best way for you to, you said, what's the best way you know that to know that the woman is genuine? By vetting. You give a part two, Nate. You said, he said, I'm going to be honest. He said, I met a female who was working at a hotel. Hoteles. He said, and she was a genuine woman. So you thought. That's the part that you left out. So you thought. I thought she was a woman. He said, come to find out that she was married. Do realize that no matter where you go in the world, that's called vetting. You're not going to see the mistake that people make with South American women, and you can attest to this, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. The mistake that people make about South American women is we look at their beauty as if their beauty dictates their moral standards. The more beautiful she is, the more moral she should be. And that's not true in the United States. That's not true in Europe and any other part of the world. Just because a woman is attractive does not mean that she's moral. That's why I'll often say the first one may not be your last one. The fifth one may not be your last one. What you did was called basically vetting.
Yep.
You got a chance to sit back and see, okay, after a couple of conversations, found out that she was married. Quite obviously, she was honest about it in some way or another. And so she left you with the choice. Do you still want to pursue? Or do you feel like, you don't want to be dealing with somebody that's married? So, but that's called vetting. It wasn't anything that was bad about her or you. It was just that you decided, mess with somebody's wife in another country. That's not my thing. What do you have to say in regards to something like that?
Yeah, there's something called the halo effect, where if someone has one attribute that you like, you automatically say that they have all these other attributes that are good. So if a woman's beautiful, you automatically assume she's moral, she's this, she's that, whatever, right? Because of her beauty gives her this halo effect. And I think that in Medellin specifically, I don't know how it is in Cali, but there is a huge culture of infidelity, meaning that a lot of guys are cheating on women, and because of that, a lot of women are cheating on guys. And so I think that what you see here is there are a lot of married people or people in relationships that mess around because, hey, he's doing it, I'm going to do it. Or she's doing it, I'm going to do it. And because it's so readily available, they'll do it. So I've heard this, that it's easier to meet some, morally, I guess, righteous, for lack of a better term, women in other parts of Colombia than it is here in Medellin because of the cheating culture here. Yeah.
I'll say it like, never, don't trust the big button and smile. I'm going to come back to Meek as well as Nate. It's the same thing here in Cali. You've got wives with full-blown boyfriends because, and I love how you said because the women don't start it here. It's the men. And the women, after year after year after year, telling guys, no, I have a husband. No, I've got a boyfriend. No, thank you. And the boyfriend or the husband steady cheating year in year. And the women will just sit back and say, you know what? I'm going to get me a boyfriend. I'm going to tell one of these, and it don't be like a bunch of dudes because she don't want her business all out there. And she got responsibility with the kids, the husband in the house, or the boyfriend. And she'll get one boyfriend or one boy toy or side piece, sneaky link, whatever you want to call it. And that's the dude that she hooks up with maybe every other weekend or whatever it may be. But it's due to the fact that the husband or the boyfriend didn't sit down. Yep. And these women are tired of being laughed and feel like they're being laughed in their faces by their men. It's not like the States when women cheat and hope they get caught to make their man jealous and maybe he will straighten up. These women know my husband's not going to change. Whether I cheat or not, my boyfriend's not going to change. Whether I cheat or not, so I might as well go ahead and find that one little dude and let him know I have a husband at home, but I want to see you every other weekend to have our fun. And I'm not leaving my husband for you. I am going to take care of our kids or my boyfriend. But because my husband, I already know no matter what takes place, he is not going to change. Let's do the do. And so it is dude, the crazy part, man, when you're the Lord of the Ring, bruh, I'm telling you, they do not care. I thought they didn't care in the States. Colombian women, literally, it's like having a ring is like having a cologne on or something. You can look in the dude. I show them, dude. I got my wife's photo on my phone. I got us as a happy couple. These women don't care. I gotta literally starting conversations talking about, yes, me and my wife have been married for so long. Oh yeah. Oh really? Here, take my Instagram. Dude, it's literally like that. It's nothing different. It's not like they're like, oh, you're married. I'm so happy for you. It'd be like, oh, you're married. Here's my Instagram.
It's crazy.
AJ, one time I had two women laugh in my face for telling them that I was happily married.
Crazy.
Girl, he said he happily married. Girl, boy, if you don't take my Instagram and stop playing. They laughed at me, man. I'm talking about full-blown laughter, hilarity. I'm standing there like, what? Boy, if you don't take my Instagram and stop playing with me. I'm like, oh, I'm walking away. I'm walking away, man. I felt bad at that moment, man. I'm like, oh, you mock me for being fake, but it is very much a culture. If the man is doing something, the woman will say, you know what? I'm tired of being hurt. I've been doing this with you for 10 years or 12 years, or I've always been faithful to you. I've never cheated on you. Enough is enough. And they will cheat. And I don't know if they do this in Medellin, but they have something here in Cali called pre-cheat. They know that they know that they're dating a cheater, but they love him. They will cheat first, knowing that he's going to cheat. Cheat, you're not the pre-cheat.
That's wild.
They know that he's going to cheat. Hands down, he told his cheating stories when he was dating her. He met her through cheating. So she's like, listen, I know this man's going to cheat, so I'm going to beat him to the punch, and I'm going to let somebody beat the punch on this coochie before he get a chance to punch on somebody else's coochie.
Man, yeah, I got a story about that. I don't know if you want to.
You know, they used to my story. So,
okay. So this was my first 6 months here. I went out. I'll try not to reel too much, so I don't give away. You know. So either way, I meet this girl. She's a lawyer. I meet her through a gringo. She's his lawyer, and we're sitting down. We're hanging out. We're having some drinks. Her best friend comes. We're having some drinks with the best friend, whatever. And so I and the best friend end up going to another place because she's like, hey, I want to go out and dance, blah, blah, let's go. So I go with those two. we go to this other place, we're drinking some more, and then she says, "Hey, you want to come back to my place?" I'm like, "All right, let's go." Because she's trustworthy, because she's my buddy's lawyer or whatever, so I know she's all right. So we go to her place. She has a real nice place in El Poblado. We go to her room. We lay down on the bed, all three of us, and then the friend like falls asleep. And then she's like, "Hey, come into my other room and let's do whatever," right? So we go to the other room and whatever, and we come back to the main room, the master bedroom, and then her friend like wakes up when we lay back down, and then her friend says, "Hey, I'm gonna go lay down in the other bedroom." And then I'm laying there with this lawyer, and she says, "Hey, you got to go lay in the other bedroom with my friend." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?" She said, "I'm married. My cleaning lady is coming over in the morning, and I can't have you being here in my bed with me." And so she didn't tell me any of this until the end of the night, once everything had happened. And so I go and I sleep in the bed with her friend while, she's there. Sure enough, cleaning lady shows up in the morning, serves us coffee and breakfast, and out the door I go. But that was like, I had no idea. I had no idea, and she revealed it to me. So that's stuff happened.
No family photos on the wall.
Yeah.
You got excuse. You like, it was dark. I couldn't see anything.
Man, it was, she just literally says, "You got to go lay there because I'm married and my cleaning lady's coming in the morning and I can't have you." I was
like, what?
Bro.
What did we just do, woman? What madness? I know, right? What madness have you gotten me into?
Crazy.
And that's one thing, man, that being down here, and I won't keep you too much longer, because I don't know what your schedule is like. I know your schedule can be cumbersome like mine. Cool. One of the things that keeps me kind of on track is I don't know whose ex or whose husband got a machete type of thing.
Exactly.
I'm sitting up here walking down the street holding hands with the side chick, and the ex-boyfriend still in love, or this really her husband and he running up behind me, and we both get, because Colombia, they play the delete game when it comes to relationships. Yep. They will delete you quick. And so and her definitely, because Medellin and Cali are very famous for a dude just walking into a beauty salon and just deleting the chick, and so it happens. And so that had kept me leery as well. But of course, I'm at peace and I'm happy in the relationship that I'm in. But it's just crazy how many people really don't care when you say that you're in a relationship, and they will just kind of like hunch it off. I had one chick tell me, "I know how to play my position." I'm like, what?
Crazy.
I'm sitting there with a bunch of you guys, right? Just minding my business. All of a sudden, I get a drink. The barmaid says that she bought you a drink, and I was like, okay. And so the barmaid was like, "Come over and introduce." She kept pushing me. I was like, okay. And so she introduced both of us. We're in a conversation. I say I'm married, and so we're talking. I say, I'm just coming here a few years, blah blah blah. I'm married and happily, so forth and so forth. And she was like, "That's okay. I know how to play my position."
Wild.
I said, "Girl, thank you for the drink. I'm about to walk over here and finish hanging out with the fellas." And she was a cutie too, and I was looking like, okay. Man. They do not care. And it's not like a money come up. It's not like a hustle, because some of the spots that I hang out with don't draw that type of attention. So it's a lot of spots I hang out with are around women that, they're doing a happy hour type of thing, just getting off work type of thing. And it's like, okay. And so our point in saying all that is, you look like you just had a story on your mind.
I'll tell one more story. It's another funny one. I'm with a buddy of mine, and we're at his place. He's renting like a Airbnb. He's in town for a couple of days, and he travels here frequently. He probably came here like 20 times last year, so he knows people. Blah blah. He moved here this year, so we're there, and he invites this girl over, and they're sitting there, they're talking, You know, they're making out, blah, blah, doing their thing. I'm sitting there just like on my phone, scrolling, hanging out, having a beer or whatever. Next thing I know, this girl has her top off and he's sitting there like, you know, making out with her or whatever. All of a sudden her phone rings and she looks at her phone. She starts panicking. She starts looking around to find her shirt. She grabs her shirt. She puts it on. She runs into the bedroom. And then because I understand Spanish, I speak Spanish now. So she runs into the bedroom and she's answers it. And it's obviously her boyfriend. And he's like, you know, where are you at? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then she starts gaslighting him saying, you're so toxic. Why are you always like this? Blah, blah, blah. Literally just making out with my buddy topless a few minutes ago.
Wow.
60 seconds ago. And now she's in the bedroom gaslighting her boyfriend. So you just got to be aware of that when you're, you know,
Wow.
it's obviously not all girls, but it happens. So you got to be aware of it.
And I was about to say the same thing because we don't want to hit you guys with horror stories and you guys think like you can't trust any woman in South America. That's not true. There are, once again, we started off talking about that there is a difference between a certain type of women and then other good women that don't move like that. They're not looking to share a man. They're not looking to have somebody else's man. They're looking for their own solidified relationship. So guys, when you hear us tell one side of the story, doesn't mean, because I know you guys like to make a monolith of everything, monolith. So guys, do realize it's not an umbrella of women in Colombia. You can't trust anybody, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not that. We're just saying that there is a pool of women that move in a certain way and that they aren't as innocent because you think because they're so beautiful. And that's what my point in bringing this segment up, that we have a bad habit of thinking women, and I guess women think this of men, that people who have good looks have good moral behavior, and that's not necessarily always true. But there are some chicks down here that are very attractive and they have strong morals. Me personally, I like nerd girls. So give me a hot nerd chick all day long. That's what I married. And so, you know, a chick that knows how to work her way around a computer as well as a pool table. A chick that knows how to put on the dress, is look good in some jeans as well. You know, give me the nerd chick. You know, I like somebody that can pick up a book every once in a while.
Yep, I could appreciate that 100%.
Yeah, and also someone that's let's go in that direction. If you had 3 tips for somebody that's getting off of a plane in regards to a tool of relationship success, 3 tips. Like mine is, you got to have boundaries or standards. She's got to have boundaries or standards. And then if I was to say the third one, my third one is, everybody knows, it's called all in the family. The family will tell you, in Andre's estimates, the family will tell you everything.
Yeah.
See, you've got rose-colored glasses on for her.
Yep.
Colombians will introduce you to the family in 30 seconds, if not 30 days. That gives you a chance to see how many wives are or are not in that family. Who owns or doesn't own anything. Who works or who doesn't work on both sides of that family.
Yep.
So any answers that you have, you don't have a rose-colored glasses on for the family. So my third one is always, it's all, and I mean everything you ever want to know about her DNA, for the most part, it will showcase itself in the family. If she has a family full of women that are not married, those women for the most part cannot tell her about how to be a faithful wife or girlfriend in the instance, because they haven't been able to keep faithfulness on their end. Yep. If most of the family doesn't have jobs, if most of the family doesn't own, nobody owns any property, you got 25 people on this side of the family, you got 35 on dad's side of the family, and nobody owns nothing, no motorcycle, no cars, no property, no nothing. But guys will fall in love with her because of her beauty. And Meek says this, and before you answer your statement, Meek says this. He said, Proverbs 6:25, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. That's a good point. Good scripture. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah. So three things I would say. Number one, be patient and almost be the patient one. Like don't be the one that's rushing to get into bed and do those kind of things, because it'll take time to really figure out who she is and what she's about. Number two, ask the questions in a way where she doesn't feel interrogated or judged. I think that a lot of people, we want to know these things, so we go out and flat out ask it. But people could, nobody wants to be interrogated, so they put up their guardrails and they're going to answer it the way that you want them to answer versus the way that they would normally answer. And so ask questions in a way where they feel comfortable, revealing things about themselves. And then number three, and this is probably my favorite saying about Colombia: if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
True.
Yeah, I just think that every benefit has a downside, and a lot of the really good, beautiful women are not going to have a lot of time for you because they're working 5-6 days a week. They are busy with family and this and that. So dating you is going to be an inconvenience for them. They will do it and they will put the time and find the time to do it, but it's going to be challenging for most good Colombian women that are working a job and doing all the things that you're looking for, and for someone that you would want to be a girlfriend or a wife.
That's an excellent point. That would have been my number 4 easily. Because I always word it like this: I look for a woman that was too busy for me.
Yep.
I purposely look for. I was like that in the States, and I'm like that here. If you can spend if I'm here 10 days and you can spend 24 hours, 10 days with me, that's a red flag. And for a lot of guys, they love it because I can fly her here and I can take her there and we can go do this. And it seems cool because you're on vacation mode. But you don't realize, actually, that is one of the biggest red flags that you can have, is a woman that has all the time for you. Another one because I want to hear what you have to say in regards to that, but another one I want you to kind of piggyback in regards to is a woman that allows you to buy her days off from work. I've seen a lot of guys do that in the sense of, how much you make a day? I make about 50. I'll pay you twice as much, girl. Here's $100. Call into your job. Not knowing that most Colombian jobs are under contract. And if she misses 10 days, she ain't got no 10 vacation days set up to be leaving like that. And so she is basically giving up her job, if she has one, in order for you to be accommodated with her time with $100 or $50 a day. Let me hear what you have to say in regards to that. Have you heard about that, as well as the other statement that I just made?
I have, yeah. And I know that out here they have set vacation days, right? There's a lot of holidays throughout the year, and then they have like set vacation periods for their work. And so the thing that I would say is a red flag about that is how much of a short-term thinker she is, right? Because obviously, if you know her and you date her for a while and all those kind of things, and you're doing that, and she thinks you're going to get married and those kind of things, okay, I get it. But a girl that you just met off of a dating app, and now she's like, oh yeah, pay my days or whatever, and she's calling off work. She's short-term thinking, which means that she's probably only doing it for the money, if in reality of it, because she's not thinking like, this job I can have for years, and this 3-day vacation that I make $300,000 I only get once. And so because of that, you got to also look at what's her motive or motivation for it. And it obviously, like I always say this because I think it's necessary, there are always exceptions, but just as the precautionary rule is, like, if she's willing to give up this job for a 3-day, window with you, is that someone obviously you can have fun with that person, but is that someone you really want to go and have like a long-term thing with, the way that person thinks, the way that their mind works? So
correct. 100% correct. That is so true. So one of my, like I said, my number 4 would have been I purposely looked for somebody that didn't have time for me like that. I loved when a woman said, well, I can't see you until I get off work at, or well, I can only spend the full day with you on. That was attractive to me. I don't know about you, but that was something that was very attractive to me, that the woman would not compromise. Once again, going back to my number one, I had standards. Number two, she had standards. Number three, all in the family. Number four for me was she didn't have all that time for me. Like you said, she had to accommodate for me. So if she's interested in me, it proved it because she had to accommodate her time for me, like Andrea did. The first couple of times she set up vacation time once we got to know each other and hanging out here in Cali. But dude, after that, Andrea would make breakfast. Kid you not, AJ, man, I would come to town. She would make breakfast for me, lunch for me, and she'd be heading off to work. Nothing special about me anymore. Andre, you might as well go ahead and walk the city or go to a gym membership or go hang out with your new friends. But I got to go to work.
Yep.
And that was attractive.
It is. And I'm like you. I like the nerdy girls. Give me a girl with glasses that's, reading, that's busy, all those kind of things that, you could tell how beautiful she is, but she doesn't have to go, do the entire world of makeup and this and that to show it off. But yeah, I think that is you look for different qualities and depend on what you're looking for. And if you're looking for a long-term thing, I think those are more the qualities you want to look for than some of the other stuff that's readily available out here in Colombia.
That is so true. So true. Let's end this segment with talking about lifestyle. Because we talked about the laws. We just talked about love. Let's talk about lifestyle in regards to the differences of cost of living that you've discovered between here and Las Vegas, of course. The foods. Let's talk about the foods. Let's talk about so we talked about the cost. Let's talk about foods, and let's talk about the medical care as far as Colombia is concerned. How have your experience been in those three areas when it comes to lifestyle, cost of living, the foods, as well as the medical?
So cost of living, I've seen a huge increase in Medellin lately. Specifically, when I first got here, you can get an Airbnb that was decent for, $500, $600 a month in Laureles. Those same places now are $1,000, $1,200, $1,500.
Wow.
That's just in 3 years. Like the same places, like literally the same place that I stayed at is now, double the price in some situations. Food has gone up. It's like, so restaurants that, used to be able to go get, 20,000 pesos for a hamburger or whatever, they're now 40,000, 38,000, so that has gone up. And so in terms of economically, yes, you can still, it's obviously way less expensive than being in Vegas or being in the States, but it is creeping up. And I think it's significantly more expensive than other places in Colombia. And so that's kind of the cost side of things. I got buddies that live on fixed income and they're maybe making, $1,800 a month and they live okay out here. But it's not like, you're not a baller off of $1,800 a month. I guess you could say you realistically need a couple grand a month to be able to do all the things, go to the gym, go out to eat, go out with the boys, whatever, maid service, personal care, all those kind of things. You probably need a couple grand to live out here. It's probably, 40% more than Cali or Pereira or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the cost side of things. And then in terms of lifestyle, see, apartment increased by 40% in 3 years. Yep. Wow. And then in terms of lifestyle, I think the cool thing about Medellin, well, actually, let me talk food and then I'll go lifestyle. Food wise, there is delicious food out here. The Colombian food, the not even Colombian, the paisa food, they don't tend to use a lot of flavor. And so if you go get like chicken with rice and avocado and a salad, it's gonna be unseasoned for the most part. You know, that might put a little salt on the chicken, but it's not gonna have like the flavor that you're used to in the States or even in other parts of Colombia. Like, you know, if you eat costeña food or food from other places, they're using more.
We're Pacifico, so
Yeah.
we get black soul food. Most of our, some of the best restaurants to the everyday mom and pops, most of their cooks are black.
Yep.
So we get that seasoning. We if they ain't gonna do nothing here in Cali, they gonna season that food. And
Yep.
so you're gonna get certain recipes that you don't get in other locations. Also, we have a stronger because we're more in the southern region of Colombia. We get more of a lot of Argentinian foods. So a lot of people don't realize that Argentina is known as having the best beef as far as raising their beef in the world. So if you want to have the steak of all steaks, Argentinian restaurants are some of the best ones. And so I took some brothers today to get a steak, right?
Yep.
And this steak, you thought it was Fred Flintstone. And I told him, I said, dude, this spot is an Argentinian restaurant. I said, and the steak is going to be that thick and it's going to be that big. And they thought I was kind of like exaggerating until they pulled up with the steaks, and they were like, oh my God, dude, these are humongous steaks. But they were so good, the guys devoured each one of them, devoured the whole steaks, wasn't nothing left but the T-bone. And so here in Cali, you have more of I don't want to say foreign cuisines, but what I'm saying is more of a black influence, since our population is 40% black. So you at the just a basic mom and pop recipe spots have more flavors, as far as putting in the seasonings and things like that, and the cilantros and so forth and so forth, compared to what we hear about Medellin, because that's the number one thing we do hear about Medellin. If you just go to a regular mom and pop spot, the food is bland. And I have to tell people that he said T-Mac said, I thought Argentina was the best until I lived in Japan. Could be Japan too. Shout out to Japan. And he said that they often say, I like Medellin, have fun, but the food is bland. And I often have to ask them, where'd you go? Because Medellin has so many different types of restaurants from around the world. A lot of guys come here and don't take advantage of all the type of chefs and cooking Italian restaurants and the Peruvian restaurants with great food. And so that's what they miss out on in Medellin as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think that I spend a lot of money on food. Like, I spend more money on food than I do on rent and everything else. And the reason for that is because I eat at these other restaurants, like you said, Peruvian. They got some good Italian places, pizza restaurants, hamburgers. They got great burgers out here, things like that. And so right now I'm on my diet, but before I would eat at those places. Yep. And so they tend to be more expensive than like the Colombian food. But if you get the Colombian food, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just kind of bland. It's just kind of the paisa food is a little bland.
313 Nate says this. He says, so can you guys give me a recommendation of good steakhouse here in I wouldn't know anything about Cartagena, as far as, even though I've been there a few times, I wouldn't know when it comes to Argentina beef steakhouse. There are probably quite a few there, especially with being a tourist city, Cartagena, but I wouldn't know any right off the cuff. Would you know any?
I don't, but I'll ask. I got a buddy that has been out there for a while, so I'll ask him and I'll put it in the comment on the YouTube once he gets me an answer. Yeah.
Shout out to Bobby being in the building. He said Chilean food is bland. I haven't heard too many good things about food in Chile.
Yeah,
plus it's cold up, in that area. So, and the last thing that I want to talk about is as far as medical. Do you find that the medical service, as far as dental checkups, costs of copay when you go see the doctor, things like that. Because one thing for me to say it from the Cali perspective, but I want to hear what you want to share as far as the Medellin perspective.
I'll give two perspectives on this. One is for me personally. I haven't had a lot of things happen, but I have had like some infections, like in my eye. I got an infection. I had another, I forget, some like an injury or something. But every time I've had to go to I had my wisdom teeth removed. To get all 4 wisdom teeth removed out here, it cost me less than $200.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so that in the States I know would have been, like a couple $100 a tooth. And so I find it's very affordable, but it's also very good. I have a buddy that's he's former military, so he has the VA benefits and things like that, but he has a lot of health challenges. He's 67 years old. And so he's done a lot of stuff out here, everything from dental to neuropathy to back injuries to, and he has had an incredible experience in all of his medical stuff. If he pays for something cash because the insurance doesn't cover it or whatever, it's super affordable. But also the service that he's getting and like the way that they take care of him is better than what, obviously not like the top places in the States, but if you go to like an emergency care or you go to like a normal hospital, I think that the way that they take care of you out here is better. And I think the reason behind that is because it's not as economically driven as it is in the States. So they don't have that extra incentive to just get as much money out of you as possible versus actually helping you fix whatever the issue is.
That's a good point. And I like what T-Mac also said. He said they also have a veteran center here in Medellin for U.S. veterans. And so that's true as well. Some of the guys that I was having lunch with were talking about that. I've had, since I've been here, and many of the guys know that I've had 2 surgeries. One was throat, and another one was checking for colon cancer. I'm fine. 0 copay because I'm with Sura and I have the top of the line Sura. But a lot of guys don't know that 2 things. I wonder if you knew this. 2 things when it comes to medical insurance in Colombia. First thing is, if you're getting medical insurance, once you get your visa approved and getting medical insurance, no longer you're using international health insurance, you're using just regular Colombian medical insurance, such as Sura, right? Once you hit the age of 60, you can't change what level of insurance that you're on.
Interesting.
You can change the provider, but if you're not at the best of the best of the best by the time you hit 60, you can't go for that. If you just got regular medical insurance, nothing special, no doctors coming to your home and stuff like that. You just got regular medical insurance in Colombia. And if you hit 60, you only stay on that level. And so I'm 57. So we purposely made sure that we're paying every month. And we only pay $100 a month. And if we had 10 kids, we only pay $100 a month. And so we got the best of the best of the best insurance. So when I hit 60, there is no going down. We're already at the top of that. The other thing about Colombia, I wonder if you knew this. If you are too obese, the insurance companies won't cover you until you lose weight.
That's wild.
A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, that's why you don't see too many big Colombians.
That's wild.
Insurance will not cover you. And the lady that informed us of that, she is the head of medical tourism. We interviewed her a few weeks ago here in Cali. And she didn't hit the weight threshold and couldn't be covered by it. Think about it. You doing the medical tourism and you ain't hit the weight threshold. And so she told us, she said, all you big boys, all you big guys that want to live in Colombia, do realize if you are too big, Colombian medical will not cover you. That's, I guess, self-destructive eating. And so they're like, why should I cover somebody if they're not, why should they cover somebody that's not taking care of their health? So guys, I want to let you know, if you are a big boy and you're not doing anything about it, Colombia will not cover you as far until you get your weight down under a certain, I don't know don't ask me what the numbers are, gentlemen. But they will, they will examine you to make sure that you're under that weight. Did you know that?
I had no idea. That's something that I'm going to share with people, because that's good knowledge to know, especially if you want to move here.
Yeah. If you the age 60, and and a friend of mine who's here, he's 62, and he said, man, I missed the threshold to get the best. He said, I got SUR, but I got basic. He said, but since I'm 62, 63, I can't move up from basic because, I came in the door at 62 and all I could get was the basic. And so he's a prime example that you can't move up. Even though the basic is good, basic medical insurance is really good under SUR. He said, I just want to have the top of the line because it's so inexpensive. But he said, I can't get it. He said, but Andre, you can get it. And then he was telling another guy today who just turned 59 yesterday. He just came to Cali. And so he was letting him know, like, listen, bro, you're 59 and it takes about a year or two to get your to get your footing here as far as getting your visas and this and that approved. He said, man, get it done as soon as possible. He said, because as soon as you hit 60, you will only be eligible to buy insurance. He said, but no matter what insurance company you work with, you'll only be able to get the basics because you're already 60 years old and you can't move up. He said, so try to get, your medical taken care of before you turn 60.
Yeah, no, that's really good to know, because there's a lot of guys that are retiring and coming down here.
Yeah.
And so that's really good information to know for them. I'm going to tell my friend that's 67, and he's going to tell everybody, because I think that, you come down here, you plan on being here for the next, from your 60s and 70s, you don't have that insurance, that can cause issues. I had a gecko like crawling on my desk, so I was trying not to trap anybody. Like, hey, you gotta get
good job. Staying focused. T-Mac says facts. He said, I've been dieting because I have my physical for SUR, the insurance company, on Tuesday. So you can have or lose, gentlemen. You can have and or lose your medical because of your weight.
Wow.
Unlike the States, 70% of all Americans in the United States are considered overweight or obese. So United States is used to working with big people, but Colombia is like, listen, all you got to do is just work on a diet, exercising, and we're not going to cover you for all the complications that comes with being overweight, when all you had to do was do something about it on your own, instead of us as an insurance company having to foot the bill of whatever occurs to a person normally when they are obese or overweight. And that's why every blue moon you will see somebody that's kind of obese or overweight in Colombia. But for the most part, it is not the norm among males or females.
No, it's rare to see like a really obese person, and even you see very few even big people, like bigger than normal. So yes, it's I didn't know that was part of the reason why, but yeah, there's not a lot of big people out here.
Yep. 313 Nate says this. He said, so I have a question. He said, can you get dual? He said healthcare insurance that will cover both countries only for traveling. So I'm going to answer this one. I want to hear what you have to say. When there are three forms of insurance, Nate and guys, when you are traveling and or relocating. You have your travel insurance, your basic. I'm going on this trip, and on this trip I need to cover me just in case I twist my ankle. That's regular travel insurance. Number two, if you are filing for a visa in most countries, you need something called international health insurance. That means that the Blue Cross Blue Shield that you got at the house only covers you in the United States or in UK. But international health insurance covers you for you paying on a monthly basis. Some are, I got a listing of them, that between $50 and $75 a month. Some are higher, but they cover you for a year to 2 years, because Colombia is going to ask you when you file for a visa, do you have international health insurance? Because you're not up under our insurance. Why? Because you're not a citizen here, or you don't have you don't have a visa here yet, approved yet. So if anything happens to you, what are you going to use to cover the bills? And well, I got cash. Yeah, that sounds good, but we need for you to have coverage like anybody else in the world has coverage. And so you purchase what's called international health insurance. You can find them, what are the top 10 international health insurance, or you can Google ChatGPT or DeepSeek. Give me the top 10 international health insurances between monthly payment premium of $50 to $75. And a whole list will pull up of the best of the best. For example, Blue Cross Blue Shield does have one, and it's called Blue. Let me get it right. Geo Blue or Go Blue, something like that. And it's Blue Cross Blue Shield's version of international health insurance. And the insurance company that you have in the States might have an international health insurance, but you just never thought about, using it. So you never thought about asking them about that. But your insurance company in the States may have a version of international health insurance. You cannot get a visa in most countries without it. And so the three that I just spoke about, and then the third one, is now you got your visa approved. You're in the country. Now you have a choice of the local in that country, such as Colombia, health insurance. Now, if you want to keep the international health insurance, once you get, for example, you get SUR. You're here in Colombia, you got SUR, SUAR. If you want to keep the international health insurance, you can. But for the most part, most people, once they get their visa approved, they try to get a local insurance company. So we just talked about the local one. We talked about the international health insurance one that you need for your visa. And then we just talked about regular travel insurance, just in case anything happens to you. Do you have anything to say in regards to any of that?
No, I think that, depending on what your plan is, will help you determine which one you need, right? So if you're going to be here on a visitor visa for 3 months, 6 months, then you can go with like the international, insurance, like there's a bunch of companies out there. But once you're living here and you're here for a while, Shura, there's Shura, locations all over the place. So that's probably your best option because of the fact that if something happens or you need something, you got so many places to go, versus maybe like the international insurance that only covers certain things, and you got these, deductibles and all that kind of stuff. So I think it just depends on what your goal is.
Like, that's the point right there. If you're only going to be here for a 10-day trip, then you just get travel insurance. But if you're going to be here for months, then you get the international health insurance. But if you plan on being here, the international health insurance helps you get your visa. After you got your visa approved and you got your cellular, which means your ID, actually ID and social security card, because in the States, we have them separate as cards. In Colombia, your ID number and your social security card number are basically as one. So you don't get a social security card and an ID. Your cellular ID represents social security number as well as your identification. And so once you have that, you can get a local insurance company that will be able to cover you. But if it's just a short trip, you won't need international health insurance, and you just need regular, like I said, a 10-day trip, a 5-day trip. You just can get that from an airline. The other thing that I have that we made sure of, we have MetLife here in Colombia for our life insurance.
Yep.
And it covers us in regards to if anything happens to us internationally. Wow. So I have SUR here, but I have MetLife, and a part of it is international health coverage on our trips. Our agent told us, he said, when I went to Europe last year, me and my daughter, he said our daughter got sick when we were in France. He said, and our MetLife insurance policy covered everything that had to do with our daughter, recuperation, medication, hospitalization. It covered everything. And so that's the policy, the life insurance policy that we have that includes the international health insurance through MetLife. Because I want to have, I want to have a life insurance policy here as well as, the policies that a person will have in the States.
Yeah, and this is all stuff that I think people that are moving here, they might not even know what questions to ask. So I think that this is super valuable. I'm actually going to send this episode to a couple buddies and have them watch the end of it if they don't watch anything else because of this information.
So if they get to we're at 2 hours and 46 minutes. If they just go to 2:30,
Yep.
2 hours and 2 hours and 30 minutes, they'll be able to kind of glean off of the information that we're sharing right now as far as the insurance. T-Mac says anyone here can get the EPS private insurance in Colombia. It's more selective. He said, I already have EPS. He said, and I pay about $35 a month. So that's not too bad. Not at all.
Yep.
He also says, yes, they have local Colombian insurances that will give you that option of being covered globally. That's true. He says, Shura also offers it because it is more, he said, but it is more expensive. He said, also keep global travel insurance, of course, and he has his veterans in California. So good point. Let's see if we've answered everything. And also, how about do they get insurance that can cover my kids if they are under 18? Yes, absolutely. Your kids can be covered under your insurance. Like in my case, if Andrea and I had a child or children, our children will be covered under not only our life insurance policies, but also will be covered. Like I just told you the story about my insurance agent and his daughter being covered. So while they were in France, she was the one that got sick. So she's covered under the family's insurance policy. Same thing here in Colombia. Of course, it depends on the situation as far as what company you're with, what your needs are, how many family members you have, what zone or strata you live in, because that impacts how much your insurance is going to be. So if you live in zone 1, it's going to be a little bit more inexpensive. Let me not lie. If you live in zone 1, you ain't got no money to be getting no insurance. So let me move it up. If you live in zone 3 and 4, working class, you will be able to pay less compared to if you are in a zone 5 or 6. You may pay a lot more or a little bit more for your monthly premium compared to the lower zones. And we discovered that. That's one thing that we have discovered. But you can get covered here.
Yep. Yeah, and it's even like the electricity bills and all the utilities are all internet. Everything is less expensive in the lower stratas or zones than the higher income ones.
Yep. And we'll end this with TJ's statement, T-Mac's statement. He said, if I can get private health insurance in Colombia, I will get both of my daughters covered. He said, I have a daughter. Yeah, of course. Yep, T-Mac, you have a daughter here locally, and my daughter from the U.S. will visit next year for citizenship. Shout out to you. And shout out to Black Newbie and them Canadian brothers at it again.
I told this guy where I was from. He said, oh, Canada.
Yes, sir. Shout out to the Canadian brothers. Gotta have the sound bites ready, brother.
Yes, sir.
And so we're going to end with this. Like I said, we're at 2 hours and 50 minutes right around now. But at the 2 hour 30 mark, you can share that information with your friends. But definitely do a video on that 60 years old insurance. And if you're a big boy coming to Colombia or a big girl, and you think you're gonna get Colombian insurance, medical insurance, you in trouble, big girls. You in trouble. And so in closing, I want to say, first of all, I'll give you your flowers, and then I'll give you your closing remarks. I want to say, man, I appreciate everything that you're doing in Medellin. You are giving out information, words of encouragement, and being an example. The Saint Martin Luther who was the founder of the Protestant church, said this. I believe it was either him or St. Francis said this. Preach the gospel at all times. And when necessary, use words. And that's what you do. With your life, how you carry yourself in Colombia, you preach the benefits of living in Colombia when you speak and when you don't speak, when you smile, when you share. Your background speak, like with the rollerblading, just as much as when you are on camera. And I want to let you know, brother, I appreciate that. I appreciate a man that can preach his life, preach the lifestyle that's around him, and not even have to use words if he doesn't need to. In closing, let me hear what you would have to say to the audience. I think somebody had one more question for you before you give your closing statement. He said the next topic you need to talk about is why American women try to or moving to Colombia. It's the same reason that men are. Now, you know what? I'll say that differently. Because in a lot of cases, we all know that the men are moving here for the ladies in many cases, but there are many of us that move for the lifestyle and different laws or political landscapes as well. Whereas the ladies, they move to locations hoping for love, but for the most part, they really like the location. They make connections, they network. You notice that too?
I noticed that too. Yeah, they love the city, the weather, the economics of it, all those kind of things, and they love that this is one of the top places for digital nomads. So yeah, I think it's like you said, it's the same reasons that a lot of us move here, but maybe not some percentage, but the other percentage.
That's true. And before I let you speak, T-Mac is absolutely correct. Nate, make sure that you go and get a copy of Anywhere is Possible, How You Can Live in 60% of the World's Upper Middle Class for less than $2,800 a month. You can actually do that. I wrote this book earlier this year. I wrote this book, and I also wrote the 44 Laws of Travel. That gives you great tips for any country that you go to. But and also wrote Stop Making Excuses. But this one right here, I purposely wrote as an encyclopedia of how to relocate to another country. I sat back and just all the insurance information that we were just talking about, how to apply for visas, why it's so important to have that insurance, how to get an apostille birth certificate. I wrote this book for anybody that lives in UK, the United States, as well as Canada. So just as much information is in this book for Canadians as it is for Americans, as it is for those that are living in the United Kingdom. And I'm not just necessarily plugging it, but I really did make sure that I wrote it from the perspective of what if I was just relocating to any country on the planet. And because most people don't know statistically, and that's what kind of motivated me with the title, statistically, you can live in 60% of the planet's upper middle class for less than $25,000 to $3,000 a month. From Morocco to Kenya to the Philippines to Colombia to Mexico to Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy, and that's just to name a few that I'm rambling off. That there are so many countries that you can live that upper middle class life and not have to struggle for it back in the UK, struggle for it back in the United States, or struggle for it back in Canada. So 60% of the planet is waiting for you to live in the upper middle class in many places. And so that's why I wrote the book. But this is not my moment, gentlemen. This moment is, and it's on Amazon, gentlemen. It's on Amazon. So you got to do it. Just put in the title, Anywhere is Possible, and it's right there. Or the 44 Laws of Travel, and those books will pop up under the name of Andre Spence. But once again, this is not my moment. This is Coach AJ's moment. Appreciate you being here, man. I really do, man. Like I said, I am a big fan of your content. And the fact that you just smile and just have a good energy about the beauty of relocating. So I'm gonna let you speak in closing to the audience.
Well, I wanna give you your flowers as well, man, because what you're doing and how you help people and the knowledge that you're dropping and the guests that you're bringing on, I think it's invaluable for people that are looking to quote unquote escape the matrix and find a way to live a good life. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me. And I'll actually close with this with your the YouTube thumbnail. Is Medellin still worth visiting? And I would say without a doubt, it's a beautiful city. It's an incredible place, incredible food, people, experiences. There's something for everyone, but only visit if you're coming here with the right type of energy. Is the thing that I'll say is treat it like the Ferrari versus the rental car. And if you do that and you come here, I think what it does is it makes the people here want more people like you coming and visiting versus the opposite. And, I think that's the one thing that I'll close with is just, treat this place with some respect and enjoy it.
All right. Excellent. So I'm going to drop you down, take a few seconds to close out the show. Of course, we're going to have the Colombian cowgirls at the end, like we always do on every episode. I don't know if you ever watched the end of our videos, but we do the Colombian cowgirl videos for the outro. And so, oh yeah. And so, but make sure you follow the link, subscribe to his Instagram so you guys can answer any type of questions. Yeah, I've been dropping the IG all night long. Do you have a particular email?
It's coachajlew@gmail.com. So, yep, still Coach AJ Lew, LEW.
All right. So coachajlew@gmail.com. Shout out to my man Christopher Rogers in the building, one of tonight's sponsors. And he said, I've been meaning to say this for a while. A bit off topic. Thank you, Andre. If it wasn't for you and your wisdom and motivating monologues, I might not have made it to Thailand and seeing the green grass is on the other side. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate that. I really do, man. It's all of us working together and sharing information. And I want to say something to you guys before I let AJ go. When we first started focusing on relocators, people didn't want to see our type of content. People did not want to see and want to hear about relocating to another country. It wasn't the end thing. Politics were great. There was no COVID yet. Americans were making money. So when we were talking about information on how to have a good relationship, like I say, love, lifestyle, and laws, we were kind of like shunned in the beginning because dudes wanted the booty bait videos. They wanted to see the clubs. They wanted to see the parties and things like that. But like I always say, there's two sides to every coin and two sides to every bridge. And so we just sat back and stood there on our side of the bridge and continued to share information, continued to do Q&A live streams, me and Andrea answering you guys questions. And people started relocating, and then they start sending us emails. And then you have the AJs and you have the Cali culture with my man Jay. Now he has his website up, and now there's more information that's being shared. And like I said about this, that makes me so proud of men like AJ and Cali culture and ourselves is there aren't too many men information relocation channels. I'm gonna say this again. If you think that there's a lot of us that have YouTube channels or on Instagram that are males sharing how-to information, it's not. Now with men for partying, you can name off all these these YouTubers that show you how to party and travel and have a good time, which is great to have. But women, and I want a coach, to attest to this before he leaves. You can go on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. Women are sharing tons of how-to information when it comes to relocating, online job opportunities, online career opportunities, how to get government contract work, how to get your visa. If you got kids, how to enroll the kids in school in another country, how to get this ID and that. And women are all over this. Men aren't. So when it comes to the few men that are sharing the how-to information, I love to bring them on the show so you guys can get another perspective from another man outside of Big Mouth Andre. Let me hear what you have to say in regards. Have you noticed what I've noticed, that women are really thorough when it comes to sharing their how to relocate information compared to us?
I have noticed that. I think women, it's funny because when I start doing research, sometimes the videos that I watch are more of the women's videos than the men's, because they're talking about things that are, you want to know when you're living in a place, right? Versus a man, they're going to tell you where to go party, where to do this, where to do that. But when you're living somewhere, you want to know what it's like beyond just the surface level. And so, yeah, I think for what we're doing, there's not as much competition, quote unquote, as there is in like the party space or whatnot. But I think that the misconception is that people think men only want to see the women and the this and the that. But I think there's probably, it's undervalued how many people actually want good information. And I think, I think that's why people enjoy some of the content.
All right. Excellent answer. Excellent point. And thank you guys for being here this evening. I'm so excited because tomorrow and Monday is my day off. I get to sit down and just focus on just getting information out to the guys that I've been working with this week on consultations, but I get a chance to just be lazy for 2 days. Wouldn't know what that is. So shout out to you guys. And shout out to you, Coach. Once again, I would love to have you back on the show. And anytime that you have any questions, anytime that if there's anything, people say that and they say it like out of niceness, bruh. If there's anything, you got my WhatsApp. Any questions that you have, anything that you need, hit me up. I'm not funny style like that.
Yes, sir.
Me and Richie Mack will be in Medellin on in September, the second week of September. So if you're there in Medellin, we would love to sit down, eat with you. T Mac is going to be there. We're going to be there for 5 days. So me, Richie Mac, zoom to Thailand. We're going to be there doing a Colombian tour. So we're going to be there for 5 days in Medellin, then 4 or 5 days in Cartagena. Then we're going to do 4 or 5 days. You know, he's going to come here 4 or 5 days in Cali before he shoots over to Europe. And so really looking forward to being there in Medellin. And so I'll hit you up and let you know, hey, we're in town, or we're going to be coming in town, and would like to meet with you on a particular day, one afternoon or something, and just hang out. And that's not necessarily even record anything. Maybe Richie will, but sometimes I don't record stuff. Sometimes I just want to have some time just to be a regular dude.
Yep.
You know?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let me let you go, and I will be seeing you on Instagram.
All right, sounds good, brother. Appreciate you. Have a good one. Appreciate everybody for tuning in.
All
Peace.
right. Yes, sir. That was great, man. That was great. Shout out to my man, Coach AJ Lew. And thank you guys for supporting. Shout out to Bobby. Shout out to my man T Mac and all the rest of you guys that are here, man. We really hope that the information that we share will encourage you to be able to relocate part-time out of your home country. You ain't got to just automatically do it full-time. You could do just like we did. I'm gonna say this again. Most of us did not relocate full-time right out the gate. Many of us kind of took our time and took a couple years for us to leave a country full time. We were basically part-timers. And so when we did leave full time, it's because we put so much work in by going in and out. You know, fortunately, Coach was able to just take that one leap, and now he's been able to go back and visit home, the United States, once or twice a year. But many of us just have to, you know, just take it one step at a time. So don't feel like you're doing something wrong if you can't move as fast as Coach, or you're not there like Andre. Like I said, it took me 3 years to finally move full time to Colombia. It took Ronan, shout out to Ronan Travels, it took him time to relocate to the Philippines and enjoy the life that he's living. Richie Mack, Zoom to Thailand, Ace Live, I Am Marwa, all these guys, man, Check in Effect, all these guys, it took time. Shout out to Flatboy Way. Flatboy Way is still, he said that I want to buy a piece of property in Colombia, but he's still taking his time doing it. So for him, it'll be 3, 4, 5 years before the ink finally dries. But that's how you want it. You want to take your time in doing something. You don't want to rush into doing something. So shout out to my man Fresh Flatboy Way. And shout out to Vaughn being here, man. Once again, glad that you made it here this evening. Definitely a great convo, man. You guys can glean back on this. Like I said, at the 2 minute, really the 2 hour mark, you guys can glean back on this. And DJ Davis is in the building. Shout out to you. He said, I feel like that's something. He said, I wanted to leave fast. He said, but not being not being patient. Got to be patient. That's the number one gift that you will give yourself when it comes to relocating. Patience. Because it's going to take you to find your country. Remember what I always say the 3 things is, right? You're going to have to find what country or countries. 2, you're going to have to find out what city. 3, you're going to have to find out what side of the city. So I talk about all that in the book, but those are the 3 things that you're going to have to discover as you're relocating. Which country or countries you want to live in, whether it be your home country part-time or your new country full-time. Which one? Brazil, Colombia, Argentina? Is it Austria or is it Australia? Is it Finland or is it France? So you're going to have to ask yourself what country. Number 2, what city in that country? Some guys start off in Brazil, say, I love me some Rio, and then end up in Sao Paulo or in some other area, remote, really nice area where tourists don't go that often. So which city? Then once you get to the city, what side of the city works best for you? Like here in Cali, I'm on the north side. Everything's more flat. There's no up and down hills like in out west. So I don't feel like every time I go downhill, I gotta then go back uphill. I don't have to go through all that up and down hills compared to out west, but out north is all flat land. So what side of the city works best with you? What side of the city is more walking? And here's number 4. How does that city or that side of the city gel with your daily routines? If you want to know what my 4 elements of knowing what country works best for you is, find your country, find the city in that country, find what side of the city, and one of the whys, how you're going to know that it gels, is that it works well for your daily routines. If you live in like I give a perfect example. I always told this story of my man Carlton Travels. Carlton Travels was in Medellin forever, right? Shout out to Carlton. And Carlton had all his YouTube content, his channel's blowing up, Mr. Medellin, and that's my dog, right? Carlton hit me up one day on WhatsApp. Hey, Dre, I'm moving out of Medellin. What? You're moving out of Medellin? Why? Well, Dre, the truth be told, I love deep sea fishing. I've always been a sport fisherman. What? Yeah, I'm a sports fisherman. I was like, man, I didn't know that. He said, nah, most people don't know. He says, so I decided to move to Cartagena. Now, I don't know if he still lives there, but I know that once he moved to Cartagena and he can do deep sea fishing and sports fishing, he was well at home with his routine. That's why you want to make sure, does that city, does that side of the city, and does that country gel with your daily routines? What's my number 5? So we just talked about country. We just talked about cost of living. We just talked about country, what city, what side of the city, your daily routines. What's the next one? Make sure that you don't forget what number 5 is, because I just forgot what number 5 is. I just forgot. I can't lie. I forgot. You know how you go through a brain cramp? You're like, wait a minute. Okay, I just forgot what number 5 is. Maybe I'll remember it in a split second. But you want to make sure that your routines go with number 5. There is a difference. This is in the book too, guys. There is I dedicated a whole chapter to this because I know us. I dedicated a whole chapter to this, and we've been talking about this the past couple of weeks. There is a difference between the vacation you and the relocation you. You are not, and I'm going to say this, you are not looking for a country for the vacation you. The vacation you can vacation in any country. You are looking for a country that satisfies the daily routines of the relocation you. Don't let the vacation women dictate your choice in a country. Don't let the vacation parties, the vacation money spending, the vacation cost of living, the vacation fun. Don't let the vacation, because you can live in Cartagena. I'm living the beach life. And then when it floods in Cartagena, because in Cartagena, when it rains, it floods, like flood. Then you mad because you moved into a country that get flood. To a city that gets floods because you want the beach life. Or you move to Barranquilla and it's not as exciting as Cartagena, but you live in the beach life. Don't let the vacation you dictate, nothing. Let the vacation you dictate what it dictates. Vacations. Let the relocation you be the grown man, grown woman that dictates what country, what city, what side of the city, and how your daily routines are going to gel. I know dudes that came here to Colombia on vacation, moved here. Now they live in Brazil. You know why? Their relocation them didn't gel with Colombia, but they found a small town in Brazil that gelled with them as a relocation them. And they've been living there, a true story, and been living their best life. Best life. I know dudes that have gone to Rio on vacation 7 times, love it. But when it was time to relocate, didn't want to be in Brazil at all, and they moved to another country to relocate. Why? Was anything wrong with Brazil? No, Brazil was perfect for the vacation them, not the relocation them. So remember those things, guys. Shout out to you guys for those 5 areas that, if it were me, those are the 5 areas that I would be focusing on. Shout out to you, Marco. Thank you for being here. Say next year I'm thinking about Boca Chica. Shout out to you. He say on the other side of Santo Domingo. Yes, sir. I know exactly where you are. Me and Andrea went there 3 years ago. Had a good time too. We had a couple friends, a couple that are friends of ours that we hung out with. He said, yes, sir. Country, city, and what side of the city? Yes, sir. That's exactly what you would do. That's exactly what made it so much easier for me. I didn't try to pretend that the vacation me was going to be living this wonderful life. If it was up to me, the vacation me would have still been in Medellin. The vacation me would have been living in Medellin the way that I was moving as a vacationer. But then when I decided to relocate, I started looking all around Colombia, and it was between Cali or the coffee region. So I would have been in Manizales, Pareda, Armenia, or Cali. And so I decided Cali because it had more, I'd be more comfortable with if anything happens to me as far as hospitalization, being in a larger city compared to the smaller cities of the coffee region. DJ said, yeah, I feel that. Oh, yeah, I think you said that. Shout out to my man 313 Nate. Shout out to you, brother. Glad that you came and had great questions. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody on the super chats, and I don't think I missed anybody with Cash App, so we're good. We're pretty good with that. I don't think I missed anybody. Let me make sure. Oh, there we go. Let me see. Shout out to Blade Runner with the $5 love on the Cash App. Appreciate you. It looks like I'm missing somebody too with the $5 love on the Cash App. If I'm missing you on the Cash App, because it says $5, but then it says $10 right here. So shout out to Bitcoin, do a little better today. Shout out to Bitcoin. If I miss you on the Cash App, blame it on my head, not my heart, but it's not showing up other than Blade Runner. Shout out to Blade Runner today. And shout out to Kevin Crawford, the last person that donated. I think it was yesterday. So let's get ready with these outros, gentlemen. Let's get ready with these outros. Let's go. I don't think we did this one in a while.
Hey, son. Yeah. Yeah. Like it or love it, it's double or nothing. You ain't getting money, then you bugging. Damn fat, you know I'ma hug it. Lows by the truck. Up the budget, cashing it in, damn I'm a bucket. OD, you know I overdoes it. If it ain't moolah, we cannot discuss it. Her name ain't Erica, she finna bust it. Her name ain't Mega, but yeah, she a stallion. The way that we dressin' ran out of Italian. New chain bustin', peep the medallion. Pour your own troubles out by the gallon. Her name ain't Lotta, but she from the south. Her name ain't Ruby, she got a big mouth. Putting it in, she sticking it out. Putting it in, she sticking it out. She like salsa, one in a hole, just like a golfer. If you ain't leeching, what can you offer? Ain't got it, they just be talking. Ain't got it, they just be talking. They gon' tell you what you wanna hear. Yeah, put you in a nice pair. Best if you don't listen.
All this shit from me, I'm making her wet. It's double line, you know we the set. They know we up next, that's why they upset. Diamonds on me, you know it's baguettes. Ballin' so hot, man, I need me a rap. If you ain't on time, then you getting left. Can't live in the past, ain't got no regrets. Ain't looking for love, just want me. Like it or love it, still gotta respect it. How you in first, but you coming in second. They watching you next, so you gotta protect it. Running it up and we breaking the records. You gave us your last, you should've just kept it. Eyes on me as soon as I step in. The eye on me, you know what I'm reppin'. It's eyes, so yeah, you know what we dressin'. Our blessings is coming, they know that we destined. Like it or love it, they know how we coming. Just send us the budget, send us the budget. She want a second, my hands are on weed. She tell me don't touch it. What you doing? We bringing them vibes, they know we don't force it. Tell them don't rush us. Don't rush us at all. Hate us or love us, it really don't matter. Ain't holding no grudges.
Like it or love it, it's double or nothing. You ain't getting money, then you bugging. Damn fat, you know I'ma hug it. Lows by the truck, up the budget, cashing it in. Damn I'm a bucket. OD, you know I overdoes it. If it ain't moolah, we cannot discuss it. Her name ain't Erica, she finna bust it.
She want me to touch her, I'm making her cream. Like she a Russian, she for the team. She bring her cousins, I'm bringing my brothers. Now it's the scene and we all for being.
Like it or love it, I had you just dub it. Ain't no in between, no in between. She for the streets, feeling so geek. She for the streets, feeling so geek.
Like it or love it, they know how we come.